Hey, folks, today's program is sponsored by a great sponsor. One, we're actually even going to include this in the members feed. It is called Beautiful Day. They make, honestly, some of the best tasting granola I have ever had. They also make granola bars, some of the best I've ever had. In fact, I just had one about 45 minutes ago. And they make muesli. But that's not the real story about this company. And I don't know if it's a company. It's a 5013C. It's called Beautiful Day. They do incredible work. We're at a time where Trump has basically launched a full-on assault against refugees and immigrants. And what Beautiful Day does is they provide comprehensive paid job training to refugees. They have 4 different programs: job trainings for adults, internship programs for youth with community partners, entrepreneurship for Afghan women who are interested in starting food businesses, and management training for refugees interested in learning customer service and sales skills by managing one of their farmers markets. Refugees come from all around the world: Syria, Ukraine, Afghanistan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Myanmar, Burundi, Somalia, Eritrea, and Iraq. In fact, their head chef is originally from Iraq. The program lasts about 3.5 months, and then they help them with job placement and further education, etc. And the granola is honestly some of the best granola I have ever tried. They have made with premium organic grains, seeds, nuts, and dried fruit and spices. There's no preservatives. It's all bound together by delicious honey. They've got 4 standard flavors and some that are rotating. They've got 4 flavors of the bars. They've got, I think it's 2 flavors of the muesli. It is honestly delicious. And this stuff clumps together, so it's really easy to snack. High protein, healthy ingredients. Check it out. Really, you're going to enjoy this. And it's an amazing enterprise, what they're doing. They're helping immigrants and refugees at a time when, frankly, there is increasingly less support for these folks. The packaging, you can see, has their mission right on it. Proudly made for you by refugees. Beautiful Day. They're out of Rhode Island, just up the road, I guess. It's offering, Beautiful Day is offering free shipping for all Majority Report listeners. And when you go to beautifuldayri.org, use the code MAJORITY, all caps, at checkout, and you will get free shipping. They've just extended it specifically for our members and our audiences. Check it out. Honestly, the best granola you've ever tried, and for a great, great cause. And now time for the show.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
The destiny of America is always safer in the hands of the people than in the conference rooms of any elite.
Sam Seder.
They are unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred.
We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
Ever get the feeling you've been cheated?
It is Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. My name is Sam Seder. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, Lindsey Boylan, former New York State government official, on the former governor of this state, the disgraced Andrew Cuomo, his attempt to run for New York City mayor. Also on the program today, Trump's on-again, off-again trade war has the stock market plunging and the economy teetering. And with 3.5 days until the government shutdown, Speaker Johnson plans a vote in the House on raising the defense budget and cutting everything else. federal judge stops Trump from deporting a student who is accused of protesting. Ukraine hits Moscow with large-scale drone attacks. This as Rubio insists Ukraine must give its land for peace. NIH to end or limit grants related to vaccine hesitancy and trying to increase uptake. This as Kennedy blames the measles death on malnourished children.
Oh, it's their fault?
Hey, if they're weak, they must be culled. Trump administration wants to kick 1 to 2 million people off the ACA exchanges. Supreme Court of the United States to take up state bans on gay conversion therapy. They're back.
Mom! 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 Why did you do that to me?
Judge orders OPM chief to appear in court or be sanctioned, and another judge demands Doge open its books. And some good news, ladies and gentlemen. This hurts. Billionaires at Trump's swearing in have lost $209 billion over the past couple of days. All this and more on today's Majority Report. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is
Newsday Tuesday.
Newsday Tuesday.
You just committed the cardinal sin of playing two music tracks over one another. I don't know if you understand how much that makes people's brains hurt. At least mine. I don't know. Am I the only person that has that issue? I'm the only one. It's too much stimulation.
I listen to like 5 YouTube videos at the same time.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. I can't have anyone talking when I'm watching TV either. I get so agitated. It's sensory overload for me.
Well,
anyway.
There you go. That really, I guess, threw you off.
I guess. Can I take off?
You
Actually,
okay?
No, I don't want to. I want to talk about the news today because there's a lot to be very angry about and also much to inform people about.
Yeah. We pre-taped this Lindsey Boylan interview just moments ago, and it's upsetting. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to find Andrew Cuomo incredibly distasteful. But these are, it's just sort of sickening what he's been up to. In the meantime, let's talk about what's happening in New York. Overnight, a federal judge basically stopped the Trump administration's DHS from deporting a student who has a green card and also an 8-month pregnant wife.
Who's an American,
who is accused of protesting in a way that the U.S. government feels is supportive in some way of Hamas.
There's no criminal charges that they seem to have levied. They basically say that he's been supporting Hamas and that makes students feel uncomfortable, but there's no specificity to the claim.
I don't even think they've been saying. I don't think they've even been saying supporting. They've said aligned.
Aligned, which is this is a cut and dry free speech issue, a cut and dry First Amendment free speech issue.
Beyond even the pale of a First Amendment. And also just sort of it just extraordinarily reprehensible. But understand that this is just a proof of concept, essentially, situation. Here is, folks, just yesterday in Foley Square, Manhattan. This is just sort of blocks from where a lot of the stuff happened with Zuccotti. Of course, it's downtown and near
the courthouse.
And here are protesters protesting the deportation. And this guy was on the negotiating committee with Columbia University.
Dropsite News, who have been doing and Prem Talker there, phenomenal reporting about these issues, reported that just a day before he was disappeared by ICE, he had written to Colombia to ask for help because he was fearful that the Trump administration was targeting him.
And just what they're saying is aligned with Hamas is calling for Colombia to divest from Israel.
Yeah.
And we should just say Prem Thakur is with Zateo.
Oh,
now.
I'm sorry.
But
sorry about
Dropsite
that.
and Thakur over at
both doing great work. But
doing great work.
I think Zateo broke the story that I just mentioned. Apologies.
But here
no,
is
Dropsite.
Here is clips of the protests.
We want justice, you say how? We want justice, you say how? ICE off our campus now! ICE off our campus now! We want justice, you say how? We want justice, you say how? ICE off our campus now! ICE off our campus now!
Go ahead.
Schools, to sewage and water treatment plants have been completely destroyed by Israel with United States weapons. Even after a ceasefire has been reached, Israel continues its genocide on the Palestinians of Gaza. Just these past weeks, and in a blatant violation of the ceasefire agreement, international law, and all principles of justice and humanity,
Yeah. So good on folks coming out there. And I don't really want to hear much from liberals who were saying that where are all the Palestinian advocates under Donald Trump? Well, there they are.
Check your DSA. There's one I know in St. Louis on Wednesday. I'm sure there's a lot going up in your communities.
In the meantime, and this is scary stuff. Because CNN had Bruce Blakeman, and he is the Nassau County executive. He's the one who was for what I can't even remember his name now. That congressman from who just left.
Well, this is Swazi's district.
Right.
Oh, you're thinking
I can't even remember the Republican's name. Santos. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the guy who supported George Santos because Santos was apparently so Jewy and then turned out to actually not be anything.
Jewish.
Yeah.
He was just making a joke.
But this guy has a crack team that really does amazing analysis, right? Like, I mean, they didn't pick up on Santos right away. And so maybe he went out and said, you know what we need is some type of intel division.
Over on Long Island.
I think the question here is about whether speech can result in people's legal rights being taken away.
He's a virulent anti-Semite. He came here on a student visa. He's paid by a terrorist
Pause it for a
organization.
second. Now, listen, there's a couple of things that I just want to add. He may have come here on a student visa. He has a green card. He's a permanent resident now.
Legal immigrant.
Legal immigrant, permanent resident. You're a legal immigrant if you come on a student visa, but you're a permanent resident if you have a green card. And I would just say, if you're really worried about anti-Semitism, I would suggest if you really want to find some, search on Twitter, Sam Seder, Jew, and you will find a lot of anti-Semitism in the wake of that Jubilee video. But that's aside
They're just
the point.
reminding you of your identity. I don't know why you're so hung up on this.
Go ahead.
On a student visa, he's paid by a terrorist organization that beheads babies.
Evidence
do you have? That beheads babies.
Wait.
I have evidence.
So I'm sorry, just to be clear, you're alleging that he's paid by
He's a
who?
paid protester.
By who?
Well, I didn't ask my intelligence division exactly who paid for him, but
Insane.
Wait a second. So first he says he's paid by a terrorist organization.
Uh-huh.
And
Say no more.
And he just expects that to just go fly. And he goes, and he has an intel division. Is that what he said?
Over in Nassau County, Long Island.
Staten Island CIA.
No, that's not even, it's not even Staten Island.
Oh, right,
this is
Long
even
Island.
more upper crusty Long Island people. Yeah, like the over in Mineola, they're really looking into the international politics there. It's like MI6 over there.
Let's do a little role play for a second. You be the intel division. division.
Okay.
And I will be this Joker Blakeman. Is this protester paid?
Yes.
Don't say anything else.
I got to
I
go
don't
to
want to
CNN.
follow up on this. I've got to go to CNN. Don't say anything else. I have no more questions for you. That's it. Great job. You have been excellent.
Yes, he didn't expect the follow up from the entire panel. Shout out to our friend Van Lathan who's on the panel there. Abby Phillip does not let this go, so credit to her.
All right, go back.
It's amazing.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
It's a Long Island CIA.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I'm sorry, just to be clear, you're alleging that he's paid by
He's a
who?
paid protester.
By who?
Well, I didn't ask my intelligence division exactly who paid for him, but he's being paid by. He's being
That's
paid.
a pretty explosive allegation. Who is he being paid by?
Can I ask you a question?
You said you had evidence. Who is he being paid by?
He's being paid by organizations that are anti-American, that are engaged in nefarious
Name them.
activities.
Who nefarious?
I don't ask my intelligence division to
Well,
give
then don't
me.
come on national TV and say, don't come on national
Do you know
TV.
who he's being paid by?
I don't, and I'm not alleging that
Are
he's
you
being
okay
paid.
with what he's doing?
Hold on, pause it for a second. Wait a second. We got to go back. What's fascinating is he will ask, what's her face? Navarro.
Anna Navarro.
He'll ask Anna Navarro who he's being paid by.
Former Republican.
But he won't ask his own intel division who he's being paid by.
Hey, you know the guys in Massapequa. They're really covert. They're going to give me a little bit of the drip, but we don't got all the information here. I mean, this is the central claim he was asked to come on television to make. And he didn't have that answer.
Wait a second. But he does seem to know some things about it. So let's revise our little role play. Okay. Again, I'll be Blakeman.
Okay.
You be my intel division. Okay. Is he paid?
Yes.
Okay. I want you to cough once if it's an anti-American organization. Don't tell me anything. I'm just going to wing it. Go ahead.
Then don't come on national TV and say on things. Don't come on national TV.
Do you know who he's being paid by?
I don't, and I'm not alleging that he's being paid.
Are you okay with what he's doing?
I'm not alleging he's
Are you
being paid
okay
by
with
because
that?
I don't know.
Are you
if he's
okay
being
with
paid.
anti-Semitism?
You are coming on
Are you
national
okay
TV
with
and using this
intimidating
platform
Jewish
to spread
students?
things. No, I'm
Are
not.
you okay with
No,
hate speech?
Don't make this about that. Make it about the fact that you
That's
know,
exactly what it's
listen,
about.
that you talk louder doesn't mean anything. You're making this about. You are saying things on national TV that you cannot corroborate. That is irresponsible, and you should not.
Why don't you ask the NYPD
CNN
Intelligence
platform.
Bureau?
Well,
Why don't you ask the FBI and the CIA?
Because I don't speak to
They
them.
know
Let
exactly
them,
what's going on.
If there's evidence, bring it out.
Hold on. I'm going to ask one more time. Do you know for a fact that he is being paid by another entity, especially a terrorist organization? Can you state that as a fact?
I can state with the fact that he is being paid, as the other professional protesters are being paid, by anti-American organizations that are engaged in nefarious activities.
So if that allegation...
That I can confirm.
Okay, so Bruce, I'm just going to say it right here. You just made that claim. There's no evidence that I know of. There's no evidence that you've provided.
Well, he
of
can
that.
sue me then.
And I mean,
we'll come out in
hey,
court.
He's free to do whatever he wants. But the United States government has not made that allegation. They have not made charges against him on that.
Of course, they made that allegation. That's why he's being.
No, they have not.
So this is the chilling effect of.
There's people should watch for the rest of because Van was on there and that's great that he's getting more media attention. But they all push back. I do think that this is such a flagrant violation of our Constitution that even, Anna Navarro was a Republican like a few years ago. She's still making this case. Like, she probably still is. But can we just pull up?
All right, one thing I want to just add here. The reason why this guy has to lie about this is because on its face, what's happening is so corrupt, so unconstitutional that they have to lie to say that he's somehow now an agent of some type of nefarious terrorist anti-American organization, which of course, if he was, the U.S. government could charge him with that. It's not like, I haven't authorized.
Let's get him on the speech stuff instead.
I haven't authorized the Suffolk County Intel Division to share with the United States Intel Division.
Hey, we got our sources and methods over here. We're trying to protect, okay?
What am I running? Some type of freebie thing? No.
Their interrogation methods include playing Billy Joel over and over again for their subjects or something like that. I don't know what he's
neither
referring
confirm
to.
nor deny. Okay.
But then he later moved on to
also,
the CIA and FBI.
Here's the other thing.
Yeah.
What if he was being paid by some entity to protest? Like, where's the illegality in this?
Right.
Where's I mean, what's his face? Blakeman is on there. Presumably, he gets paid to be a Republican operative.
How about the Zionist protests at UCLA who were paid by Jerry Seinfeld's wife? They were paid to go out there and harass and sometimes physically intimidate pro-Palestine encampments out there. But like, why I found this video so fascinating is because we'd covered this before and it's not getting enough attention. That Nassau County, which is a part of Long Island, that's why we're making all these Long Island jokes. It's a really it's the wealthiest part of Long Island, that North Shore area. They were the first, not a red state, not Oklahoma, not Alabama. They were the first to ban masks for the explicit reason of protests last year. And if you could just scroll down to the initial body of this paragraph. Suburban New York officials looking to stop violent protesters from obscuring their identities have banned wearing masks in public except for health or religious reasons. And there we see our friend again. Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman, a Republican, signed the legislation Wednesday, calling it a bill that protects the public. And so then flash forward to this Forward article. This reporter at the magazine Forward spoke to the people who targeted Mahmoud Khalil for ICE detention. Just the first paragraph here. Among the dozens of masked protesters at Barnard College's library last week, Barnard is a part of Columbia, Mahmoud Khalil stood out because his face was bare. In video clips from the demonstration posted online, Khalil is seen testing a megaphone and speaking to a reporter. And then they explain what he was protesting. Such pro-Israel forces started circulating photos and video of Khalil shortly after the Barnard Library protest concluded last Wednesday. Documenting Jew hatred on campus, a group focused on Columbia described him on X as one of the leading agitators on campus and asked Secretary of State Marco Rubio to hashtag deport Mahmoud Khalil. Can you click on the hyperlink on described him on X and see how recent that was? Just go down to the times, okay. March 7th, 2025. So Friday. He was detained on Saturday, and they tweeted that at Marco Rubio. And this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to ban face coverings. And this guy was making the case publicly so that they can more easily identify you and target you for state repression like we're seeing right now.
And we should also add that Khalil wrote to Columbia University and said, I need protection because he could see that he was being targeted.
Yep.
The Jewish Forward has this excerpt. John Fetterman, who promised to escalate the issue, he said some members of Columbia's board had also reported Khalil to officials. So members of Columbia's board, also Beitar, which has basically a brown shirt Jewish organization that Einstein called fascistic, has been the one directing these doxing campaigns.
Who is Einstein getting paid by, though?
Well, Einstein might have been Hamas. I don't know.
And to correct myself from earlier, it was Prem Talker at Zateo who broke the news that he asked Columbia for protection. I think probably the day after this happened, and they still came for him anyway. So there you have it.
All right. We got a lot more to talk about. Just first a word or two from our sponsors. Oh, I'm sorry. When we come back, after the sponsor, we'll be talking to Lindsey Boylan. She is a former New York State government official who had the what turns out to be an incredibly displeasure is not really sufficient a word of working directly for Andrew Cuomo, and just a horrific story from her about this disgraced former governor who is hoping that people have forgotten his record as governor, both his policy record and his behavior. First, a couple words from our sponsors. Long work, busy weekends, month after month, can have you feeling and frankly looking depleted. Hand raise. Prolon works at the cellular level to rejuvenate you from the inside out, supporting enhanced skin appearance and fat loss, improving energy and focus post Prolon's fast. Prolon's program takes the guesswork out and equips you with a science-backed plan, making it a key tool for your health journey. What is Prolon? It is a fasting mimicking diet. It's a revolutionary plant-based nutrition program that nourishes the body while making cells believe they're fasting. It was researched and developed for decades at USC's Longevity Institute and backed by leading U.S. medical centers. Prolon helps support healthy blood sugar, enhanced skin appearance, fat loss, and improved energy and focus post-fast. You can read this research, actually, on what these type of fasts do, particularly in the context of longevity, is what interests me. Because I'm getting up there. I don't know if anybody knows. It all starts with their 5-day program. Snacks, soups, and beverages designed to keep your body in a fasting state. There's no guesswork or planning required. 3 consecutive cycles of Prolon have been shown to reduce your biological age score by an average of 2.5 years and your waist circumference by 1.5 inches. I did this back in February of last year, and I think I'm about to do it again next week. I'm gearing up. I'm trying to figure out if I have Sol or I don't have Sol, but over the next 2 weeks, I think I'm going to give it another try. To help you kickstart your health plan. It really is actually amazing. On day 1 or 2, none of it was as hard as I thought it was going to be. Somewhere around like day 3, your energy starts to kick in even more. And you can do it. I mean, I remember. It's not a walk in the park, but I was able to host the show during that, and I had energy.
I'd anticipated you maybe being cranky that week, and it didn't happen.
I was no more cranky than normal, let's put it that way. To help you kickstart a health plan that truly works, Prolon's offering you a 15% off site-wide plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe to their 5-day nutrition program. Just visit prolonlife.com/majority. That's PROLONLIFE.com/majority to claim your 15% discount and your bonus gift. prolonlife.com/majority. We'll put the link in the YouTube and podcast description and at majority.fm. Also sponsoring the program today, this episode brought to you by Zippix nicotine-infused toothpicks. Zippix brings you a totally satisfying, convenient, and great-tasting way to curb your nicotine cravings. And now you can get your nicotine fix anytime, anywhere, without having to rely on smoking or vaping. Zippix toothpicks give you an easier, better, and more discreet way to get your fix. They're available in 6 great long-lasting flavors. They have options in 2 milligram and 3 milligram of nicotine, so you can sort of like taper yourself down. And then when you're, if you want to take that next step and get off of nicotine totally, or if you're not a nicotine user at all, and best to stay that way, Zippix also offers caffeine and B12 infused toothpicks for a quick energy boost. Zippix toothpicks are the perfect for flights, sporting events, restaurants, literally everywhere else that smoking and vaping are banned. Zippix have already helped hundreds of thousands of customers get their nicotine fix without needing to inhale, smoke, or vape oils. So what are you waiting for? Toothpicks were huge for me. I still lean on them in quitting smoking back in the day. Give your lungs a break and try Zippix nicotine-infused toothpicks. Ditch the cigarettes, ditch the vapes. Get some nicotine-infused toothpicks at zippixtoothpicks.com today. Get 10% off your first order by using the code MajorityReport at checkout. Your lungs are going to be glad you did. And anybody, frankly, who's around you smelling you.
Yep, true.
Must be 21 or older to order. Warning, nicotine is an addictive chemical. Zip more, smoke less with Zippix nicotine toothpicks. All right, we got to take a quick break, and then we'll be talking to Lindsey Boylan, former New York State government official. We are back. Sam Seder, Emma Vigeland on the Majority Report. Joining us now, former New York State government official Lindsey Boylan. Lindsey, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Same here.
So the mayor's primary in New York City is happening in June of this year. Essentially, for all intents and purposes, this is the general election in many respects because New York City is so overwhelmingly Democratic. It's not necessarily the case, but it's likely. Yes. Eric Adams, as you may have heard, obviously was under several investigations and indictments, but cut some type of deal with the Trump administration and now is basically on some type of secret probation with them. And it has left the door open for someone who, and I don't want to editorialize too much right off the bat, but someone who I think is not just incredibly disgraced because of his personal behavior, but also from his behavior as the governor, as a Democratic governor of this state. Andrew Cuomo has announced his entry into the race. You worked with Cuomo for a long time, didn't you? Would you just give us a sense of your of how long and what capacity you worked for him?
Sure. So I have a background in urban planning, and I always wanted to be involved in and around government because that's the best way to make our cities work. I started working for him, I think, right around the 2016 election, if that makes sense. I blocked out some of the dates, but suffice to say, I worked for him for over 3 years in increasingly closer conditions. I started out at his economic development agency as an executive there. And the more work I did, the more I was pulled into his direct orbit and essentially worked for him for probably 2 of the last 3 years that I worked for the state, with the title most recently as Secretary for Economic Development and Housing for the state of New York and Special Advisor to the Governor. So I was a senior person working for him, and I do think it's important to note that he was sexually harassing me throughout the entire time. This man is completely lacking principles, and it didn't matter if he was doing it to his very junior assistants, first jobs out of college, or his most senior women like me.
There are, you're not the only person to be on the record of making claims of sexual harassment against Andrew Cuomo. How many women have actually come out and publicly accused him of this type of sexual harassment?
Sure. So you probably know, but just to summarize for folks at home, the Attorney General did a deep report on his misdeeds and his abuse of women and abuse of power after she was asked by his administration to take on that project. And she found that over a dozen women or so were made to feel uncomfortable at the very least, or sexually harassed by him explicitly, many of whom worked for him. Shortly thereafter, the State Assembly put out a similar report saying the same things. And years later, Biden's Department of Justice put out another report in a settlement that they did with the current governor, Kathy Hochul, saying that he had harassed actually at least 13 women. So over a dozen women are on the record, him having done these abusive things to us, sexually harassed us, and we were all deposed in legal processes for that. And I would just step aside and say, given his legal harassment and his smears of all of us, I have no question in my mind that there are dozens more women who he has harassed, but he has made it so unpalatable, so unlivable to be one of his public survivors that he's scared more women from coming forward.
I mean, he had a reputation for a very long time as just being a bully. This was well known throughout the state, and also had major issues with corruption that played out in court prior to these accusations, which is why it's very discouraging for me to see very prominent Democrats like Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, who ran her 2020 presidential campaign along the lines of supporting women on the heels
She's
of the
based her
Me
entire
Too.
career on it, basically.
Right. I mean, you said it more succinctly than I could, basically, about protecting women and the Me Too movement and how important that was. And she was the loudest voice in saying that Al Franken should step aside in the U.S. Senate. And I saw a clip of her last week saying that she's not going to really weigh in on Andrew Cuomo, which is immensely disappointing for me as a woman and also as a resident of New York State. What is your reaction to Gillibrand making those remarks?
Well, we have and we will weigh in on her lack of courage there. I have been told through mutual women leader friends that she feels unfairly maligned and focused on in this situation. And I just suggest that she take a look at what it's like to be me or any of the other women who came forward. And if she doesn't want the hard work of doing her job, then she should resign or be replaced. And don't worry, we will focus on that when the time is coming. I would just tie on to this idea that it's some women actually participating in or failing to have courage around the things they know are happening, like Senator Gillibrand. You may remember the Time's Up organization had worked with the Cuomo administration previous to me coming forward. And so he felt like he had them in his pocket. And the investigation by the Attorney General and other journalists, thankfully, journalism has been a huge benefit to shedding light on this corruption and abuse, showed that Time's Up leaders actually coordinated with him and reviewed letters smearing me. It's a big reason why their organization imploded, because it was clear that they were not actually spending the majority of their time protecting the women that they said they were and that they were fundraising for. We need that protection, but power adjacency screws with a lot of less than ethical people's minds, and some of those people are women like Senator Gillibrand.
Before we get into some of the things that Cuomo did as governor, aside from, frankly, sexually harassing,
abuse of power.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he definitely had a perspective that he could get away with anything.
Yes.
But what I don't think people are aware of is he has been on a multi-year project to intimidate and smear his accusers and accusers that I think we probably don't know of.
Yes.
And he's been doing it at the taxpayer expense. So we have three layers of government. We have the federal government, the state government, and the DOJ. We have the state, the Attorney General, and the DOJ have found consistently that he had a significant pattern of sexual harassment of his workers. And then, and in different instances, it's a lot of he said, she said. And so maybe there were, or people don't want to engage in getting and going into the prosecution of this because he had to leave his office in disgrace. Many people thought that was sufficient, did not realize that he would then basically get millions upon millions of dollars of taxpayer money to go out and start deposing these accusers as way of basically sending a message, it seems to me, and I want your take on this, telling other accusers to be quiet and to discredit these accusers, to make it, to essentially cloudy the waters so that he could do a run like this and try and escape any type of scrutiny.
Yeah, so he resigned. I'm sure we've all seen the clip saying he's sorry. He made us feel uncomfortable and he didn't realize how much the line had changed. And then swiftly afterwards, he went on this multi-year project of smearing and harassing all of us for doing the right thing. And let me tell you a little bit more what that looks like. And I know you know, but just for folks at home, his taxpayer-funded attorney, primarily Rita Glavin, and others working in alignment with her, both on the sexual harassment and the nursing home scandal, have spent, which was released, I think, yesterday, and upwards of almost $60 million. $60 million. 60 of taxpayer money. I think about half of that already is on the sexual harassment cases.
And we should say, these are not government lawyers. These are private. These are the most expensive private defense attorneys you can get. And taxpayers are just, and they are unleashed because they don't have anybody basically saying, hey, I can't afford to do this. This is basically like, you might as well have Elon Musk or Peter Thiel or someone with like unlimited amounts of money go after you. And that's what he's doing, except for it's our money.
Yes. And just to set the landscape on how he's doing that, there are 3 women who he harassed. And I'm talking to you now, but the women who he harassed are significantly younger than myself, have significantly less privilege and platform. You know, I've run for office before to come forward and talk to you right now. So these are women who have truly been victimized in so many levels. 3 women decided to sue this monster in court, in federal and state court. You know, in one case, a woman who is younger than, I think, 2 of his 3 daughters, and who I think had actually played soccer with one of them. This was, I think, pretty much her first job out of college. And do you know what he did? He made her life and everyone in her life a living hell. He sought gynecological records for her. I'm very curious to see how that in any way relates to anything within ethical bounds of the law. Simply because she had the temerity to take him to court. Now, in this case, she was suing in both federal court and state court against, you know, civil rights law violations. She dropped her federal court because he literally subpoenaed, harassed every single person legally in her life and adjacent to her until she felt like she couldn't live anymore. And this is a woman who's, you know, a decade and a half younger than myself. So that's one case. Another case that is ongoing is the state trooper who had dedicated her life to his. If someone was going to shoot at the governor, the sitting governor at the time, she would have to jump in front and take that bullet for him. And you know how he rewarded her for that? By running his hands down her back, the nape of her, you know, her back, and in sexual manner, asking her about her sex life, why she was getting married, and suggesting she wear more dresses. I try not to read too much into the depositions that didn't relate to mine because it's traumatic for me, but this is disgusting. This woman had dedicated her career and her life to protecting this man, and this is how he repaid her. Such a great advocate for law enforcement. And the third, Brittany Camiso, is suing, and I don't know as much about that case, in New York State Court. He groped her, and he likes to reference these 5 district attorneys have not pursued criminal charges, but I think anyone who has spent any time in the legal system knows that the majority of sexual harassment and sexual abuse charges end up finding their way to civil court because we are still in nascent stages in criminal court. Why is that the case? We're still in nascent stages of actually respecting women in this country. And I think this man running for mayor is a great example of that. But do not for a second let this monster and his con artists, Rich as a Party and others working for him, suggest that district attorneys not pursuing charges in criminal cases has anything to do with the massive civil lawsuits that are ongoing, that have contributed significantly to this man running up $60 million in taxpayer money for his legal defense, and are not even at trial yet. None of these things are at trial. And so hopefully, fortunately, your listeners don't ever have to deal with the legal system. I have had to deal with it indirectly because even though I chose not to sue this monster, he has dragged me through the court system to abuse me through lawfare and forced me to spend $1.5 million of my own money, which, as I said, I have that privilege to do. Most women do not. And that's why I'm speaking up. This man has not stopped his harm. He's used every abuse of power possible to kill us, basically, to destroy us. And I said this earlier this week, this man's path to victory is to destroy the very women he harmed. And while it would be nice if people said, oh, Lindsey, you know, she's out there trying to fight the good fight, I feel bad for her. But you don't have to feel bad for me. Think of these women that I just told you about, who don't have my privilege, who don't have the ability to hire an expensive attorney just to fight the monster who abused them in court. The public officers law that has been on the books that is funding his lawfare against all the people he abused is set in place to protect abusers and corrupt politicians from accountability. And I also think it's a very odd interpretation of the law because the threshold in many cases of certain rights and accessibility that one may have to avail themselves in New York government support is to be a policymaking role, which is a certain level of seniority. Well, I was a policymaker. I was a senior member of the administration. I'm not getting any of my legal bills paid, even though I'm simply a victim and simply a potential witness. But this man has made a mockery of every power that he's held, and he's done a lot of it hating on women, and he's used women to hate on other women. So it's just, I want to make sure people understand this, and I'm happy to go into any more specifics around that, because it's kind of mind-blowing to think that this man, who was the governor, resigned, for one moment said he was sorry, and then has spent the next several years harassing all of us legally, smearing us in the media, using his taxpayer-paid attorney Rita Glavin at one of his campaign launches to smear the victim again, who he sought gynecological records for. I mean, where does it end? Who is going to say uncle and say this is enough? I mean, I really don't think it should have to be the women he harmed, myself included. It should be our leaders in the state Senate and the state assembly. It should be our leaders in New York broadly. It should be lawyers fighting to disbar this monster. It should be all of us. And I think the only good thing about this moment in time is it does give a lot of us the chance to say, hell no, this is monstrous. This is disgusting. This is the essence of a perversion of justice. So, yeah, I said a lot there.
No, I mean, I think, look, and he has been clearly doing this for years and building up to this so that he could run for mayor of New York City. He has had this plan, I think, since probably several days after he resigned in disgrace. Yes. And it's a further disgrace that leaders like Gillibrand and Schumer and Jeffries in particular, all, federal leadership who are in New York, who are saying nothing. It really is disgusting. Lindsey Boylan, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
We're obviously going to be talking about Cuomo, about these things, about the Moreland Commission of where he basically set up a commission to look at corruption in New York. And when they started looking at his office, he shut it down.
On that front, my attorney is Danya Perry, and she was involved with the Moreland Commission. So she's intimately aware of his corruption. And to your point, one abuse of power is how he did everything.
It seems like across the board. He did it with the IDC in my mind. I had issues with him taking Ken Langone's money to fund charter schools, and the way he
just
fought
took Ken
against
Langone's money yesterday for his PAC.
There you go. And fighting against universal pre-K. There's a whole host of reasons, but this is, I mean, God knows what he would do with the power from as a New York City mayor. Lindsey Boylan, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And there's a way for people to respond to this directly. If you're a New York City resident, you go out and in that January primary, you vote against Andrew Cuomo.
Do not rank him.
Excuse me, June.
June. Do not rank him, right? I mean, there's other candidates that you can rank, but the best thing you can do to make sure that your ballot goes towards, with our ranked choice system, him not getting any advantage, is not ranking him at all.
Yes, and just to add one caveat on that, I'm pushing two things and hoping everyone can help me do that. Do not rank Andrew Cuomo in that 5-rank opportunity that you have in the primary. And we need you to fill out all 5 of those rankings, not Andrew Cuomo.
Yes.
And here's why. Because if you can believe it, maybe you can, because he's not really popular and hasn't done a great job. But Eric Adams barely won the mayoral role. And he won it in one of the later rounds of ranked choice voting, counting votes. He barely beat Catherine Garcia, and it was by a few thousand votes. So we need everyone who understands what a monster Andrew Cuomo is to tell everyone else not to rank him, to not rank him, and then fill out those 5 votes, because we do not want you or your vote to ever be cast aside. And let's say you choose 3 people for the office and you don't fill out the last 2.
If it goes into the
fourth
round.
If your 3 people are out, you're done.
Yep.
So fill out the 5 people and make sure none of those ranks is Andrew Cuomo. That's my other piece of this.
Lindsey Boylan, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you both. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Caucus.
We are back. Sam Seder. Emma Vigeland.
Emma what?
Whatever.
Emma
Vigeland.
Yeah.
On the majority part, we are now, it is Tuesday, March 11th, and we are a little bit less than 3.5 days away from government shutdown. And the state of play at this point is that Republicans are looking to take a vote today, essentially to pass a continuing resolution. The continuing resolution is going to essentially extend, or presumably extend, the last year's budget for another 6 months, at which time the Republicans will try and pass their big reconciliation bill that cuts Medicaid by hundreds of billions of dollars, that cuts SNAP by hundreds of billions of dollars. That really takes a wrecking ball to our government. This continuing resolution also increases defense spending and cuts other areas. And those cuts in other areas, and we should also add, it also funds places that Elon Musk has already essentially shut down.
Mm-hmm.
They are supposedly shutting down, I don't know, like 5,000 programs at USAID, yet USAID will get the same amount of funding. So there's going to be this big slush fund that Trump will have, presumably, if this passes. Also, if there is nothing in this budget, this continuing resolution, that says Congress has the ability to appropriate and Elon Musk is going to stop doing what he's doing, then there is no mechanism in which to stop Elon Musk short of the courts, but the courts have already tried to stop him. It is basically Congress would be acquiescing to what is unconstitutional in terms of what the balance of powers. It is unconstitutional, as according to the Supreme Court in Train v. New York City in 1974. And it is illegal relative to the Impoundment Control Act of 1974. So it is imperative that Democrats attempt to stop this bill. In the House, they have no ability to stop it. And it appears that all the Democrats are going to vote against it. And Republicans, they can afford to lose, I think it's 1 or 2 votes.
Well, there are 2 holdouts, and it was an interesting quote, or maybe not quote, but recounting in Politico this morning in the newsletter. They said Trump and White House officials have been telling GOP holdouts who want more spending cuts that the administration will pursue impoundment, that is holding back federal funding already appropriated by Congress, according to 2 Republicans who were in a recent meeting with the president. So what they're saying is, pass this budget that we can ignore whenever we want illegally, and we're going to be open about that. We're going to be open about the fact that we are diminishing the power of Congress right to your face, and we will use the billions of dollars or millions of dollars that Elon Musk can throw into your reelection effort as the stick in this instance for you to literally sign off on your own death warrant in terms of the branch of government that you represent.
It's important to remember what Emma just cited, because the real point is that the Senate Democrats have been sort of hiding in terms of this, and they need to be pressured in the next 48 hours to withhold their vote on cloture, to essentially join in a filibuster so that this continuing resolution cannot pass, and it will cause a government shutdown. But there is already a government shutdown happening right now. It is a partial government shutdown, and it is being purported, it is being done by one person, Donald Trump, via Elon Musk. And that's not the way our government's supposed to work. So there's already a government shutdown right now. It's just a partial one. And frankly, it would be a partial one after Friday night too. Far more agencies would be shut down. But it's not going to stop. If the Senate approves this continuing resolution, this rolling government shutdown is not going to stop. There's going to be no way to apply any brakes on it. This is it. This is the last couple of feet before it hits the cliff and goes over.
You've got to call your senators. We said this yesterday, but here's the Capitol switchboard number again, 202-224-3121. Tell them to vote no on cloture if they are a Democrat. I mean, if it's a Republican, I don't care. Call them anyway as well. And essentially say, hey, we elected you to do what Congress is supposed to do, which is have the power of the purse and negotiate a budget. We did not elect Elon Musk to be able to unilaterally cut programs that you're supposed to be responsible for allocating funds towards.
Yeah, go a la carte on what you've already voted to approve.
Here is Elise Slotkin, of all people, and not my favorite U.S. senator on the Democratic side.
No.
Nevertheless, and she's a little squishy on this, but they're all squishy. They are all squishy on this. John Fetterman has come out and said he's going to vote for the Republican continuing resolution.
Hell yeah, man.
Maybe it's because they're raising defense. Who knows? But Slotkin, this is what she better hold to. And this is what it needs to be the standard for every Senate. So, I mean, if you're in New York, you call Chuck Schumer's office and you tell him you will support a primary against him right now. You will start sending money into an escrow account to run against him if he allows Elon Musk to continue to slowly shut down the government. They need to do their constitutional duty. And the only way they can do that is if they basically leverage this one vote. Here is Elise Slotkin essentially articulating that in a little bit squishier terms.
As you well know, the government is poised to run out of money on Friday. The House did release the text of their bill to keep the government open. Will you vote yes to keep the government open, Senator? Do you support this bill?
Well, we just got the bill yesterday, so we're still looking through it. And it has to go through the House, and they have very tight margins in the House. So we'll see if it can get through. But I think the fundamental point, at least as I approach this, is, look, the president has been deciding how to spend the money any way he wants, even when we have a budget that both Democrats and Republicans voted on. That's a constitutional issue, right? Everyone knows Congress has the power of the purse. So until I see some assurances that whatever we pass next week is going to ensure that the money is spent the way Congress intends, I'm gonna withhold my vote until I see that.
All right. Well, we'll follow up.
Okay, right there. Now she's waiting for assurances. And one party has received assurances, and Emma just mentioned it. Remind people what it is, because they're all those Senate offices are going to go, well, we're reading through the bill. And you can tell them, you can see that there's cuts. You can see that there's increase in defense. And you can see that there's no assurances in that bill that Elon Musk won't continue to shut down parts of our government.
There's no assurances. And I will read this quote for a second time for emphasis from Politico. Trump and White House officials have been telling GOP holdouts who want more spending cuts that the administration will pursue impoundment, that is holding back federal funding already appropriated by Congress, according to two Republicans in the meeting. Sam just referenced the Impoundment Control Act. The reason that was passed is because impoundment in this manner, without the appropriate, you can do it, I guess, technically, but you need 30 days.
You need 45 days. You need to give it very specific circumstances in which it's legal. The way that they're doing it has nothing to do with impoundment.
Right. So that they are in violation of both the Constitution in terms of the fact that Congress has the power of the purse and the Impoundment Control Act that was passed in the 70s.
And let's put this up. When you call your senator and your Senate's office and they say, you cite this. According to, this has been retweeted by Representative Jayapal, who is Reese Gorman?
He's a reporter at Notice.
At Notice, yeah, he's a congressional reporter.
Congressional reporter, Vance in GOP conference. I want everyone to vote yes. The president, under Section 2, will ensure allocations from Congress are not spent on things that harm the taxpayer. These are not allocations. The word allocation comes out of his ass. The word appropriation is constitutional. It will ensure allocations from Congress, i.e. suggestions, are not spent on things that harm the taxpayer. There's so much grift in Washington. Let's move this continuing resolution, get to reconciliation, and for Congress to pass appropriations. Well, how did that happen? It went from allocations to appropriations within almost one sentence.
Tomato, tomato.
You need to call your senators. This is it. Because if they do not vote to filibuster this, if they do not vote to filibuster it, this is it. There is no more leverage. Elon Musk has a blank check. And he already has a blank check to basically do anything else. But he has the blank check to go and cut whatever he wants. And Democrats are just going to sit by the side and watch it. And then they'll have no option except for to follow James Carville's, Carville or whatever the hell his name is.
I like it. It makes me hungry every time you say Carville.
His advice, just sit back and, do nothing. Wait.
Capital switchboard. Again, 202-224-3121. That's 202-224-3121.
Will Menaker of a Chapo Trap House just tweeted out that he called Chuck's and left a voicemail on Chuck's machines.
Gotta do it.
Oh, should we call?
Yeah.
Let's do it. We'll call right now.
I have my phone. You want me to do it?
No, I'm going to call on air.
Okay. Oh, I forgot that you have the ability to do this.
Oh, yeah. Wait, which computer did I use to do that? Oh, this one.
All right.
The number is, let's see.
I can give it to you now.
Do you want to do this in the fun half while we set it up over there?
No, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, all you got to do is do the phone computer. It's 202.
Okay, wait.
Oh, yeah, just give me Schumer's office. Okay,
202-224 for Schumer.
202-224?
65.
Yep.
42. We're going to have to press the number.
Thank you for calling the Washington, D.C. office of U.S. Senator Chuck Schumer. We are unable to take your call right now. After the tone, please leave your name, number, and a brief message. You may also visit Senator Schumer's website at www.schumer.senate.gov for assistance with a federal agency, to leave a comment, or for information on requesting a tour and other services. Thank you and have a great day.
Hi, my name is Sam Seder. I am calling from the Majority Report.
To send this message, press pound or hang up. To play it, 3. To re-record it,
Wait a second.
4. To add to it, 5. To discard it.
I love how... Excuse me. I repeat, this is Sam Seder calling. I'm a constituent of Senator...
To send this message, press pound or hang up. To play it, 3. To re-record it, 4. To add to it, 5. To record your message at the tone, then press pound.
Hi, this is Sam Seder. I'm a constituent of Senator Schumer's, and I want him
to send this message, press pound or hang up. To play it, 3. To re-record it, 4. To add to it,
let's try one more time.
Are really succinct.
Should we try
record your message at the tone, then press pound.
Hi, this is Sam Seder. I'm a constituent of Senator Schumer's, and I want him to stop the continuing resolution.
Press pound or hang up. To play it, 3. To re-record it, 4. To send this message,
call his New York
press
office.
pound or hang up. To play it, 3.
Okay.
To re-record it, 4. To send this message, press
I'm
pound
trying to
or
put-
hang up.
That's amazing.
That's the power of AI.
There you go.
Is it because maybe it's coming from a number that I don't know is it coming from our regular number from the show?
It doesn't. No.
I don't know.
Why? Everything worked except for their recording device.
And we were able to leave one for Richie Torres with not the same.
Actually,
problem.
we left multiple
right.
ones for Richie
multiple
Torres.
multiple voicemails. Yeah.
Should we call New York City?
Yeah, here we go. It's 212 486 4430.
You're sending this back to the phones, right? The phones are up? Yes? Did you plug in the...
We haven't plugged them.
Oh. All right.
Why don't I just call from my phone and we can do it like that? Or you call from your phone. Just do it on speaker.
All right. Let's do it that way.
Let's do it that way.
Oh, we have it now?
Now it's working? All right. Let's call the... Do you want to call back the DC office?
No, I'll just call that one again.
Okay.
212.
212.
486.
Yep.
4430.
Mm-hmm.
If they ask, if they want my address, just put down the sound.
They want it.
Okay. You might.
Thank you for calling U.S. Senator Chuck Schumer's New York City office. We are currently unable to take your call. Please leave your name, New York community you reside in, number, and brief message after the tone. You may also visit Senator Schumer's website at www.schumer.senate.gov for assistance with a federal agency or to submit a comment. Thank you once again for calling and have a great day.
Hi, my name is Sam Seder. I live in New York City. I am a constituent of Senator Schumer's. And also, we are playing this on the Majority Report at the moment. Just want to leave a message.
Also a constituent.
In fact, there's 4 constituents here. I think we are we are all unified. We want Senator Schumer to do something as the leader of the Democrats in the Senate and make sure that he stops the continuing resolution if there is nothing written about Elon Musk stopping the shutting down of our government that he's been doing for the past 6 weeks. Vote no on the continuing resolution and no on cloture. Thank you.
Thanks.
Free Mahmood.
Yeah.
To send this message, press pound or hang up. To play it, 3.
There we go.
All right.
See, so this is why you guys don't get invited places.
That's true. I got that big banner right there. What does that banner say?
Get the check out. Seder for Senate.
Yeah.
You know what? We really should have just kind of done.
Lean into that.
I don't know if they're going to listen to us. We should have said that we were the Baileys calling with an urgent request. Maybe.
Well, I mean, maybe the Baileys will call. Maybe we should start interviewing Baileys on this program. If there's anybody who listens to this show and you are from New York and your last name is Bailey, send us an email at majorityreporters@gmail.com and we will interview one Bailey a week if we can find it.
Yeah, and put Bailey in the subject line so we know that this is what this is pertaining to.
Yep. Folks, call your senators right now. I don't care who they are. I don't care if they've already come out and said, I'm voting against it or I'm voting for it. Call them. Tell them that Elon Musk has already started to shut down parts of our government. And if they're going to do their job, the clearest job that Congress has It's appropriation of funds. And if they are not going to guard that ability, which has been reinforced by Supreme Court cases, statutory means, the Impoundment Control Act, even the line item veto. I mean, that's essentially what this is. It's actually even like more specific than a line item veto. Has been found unconstitutional. If they're not going to do this, there's no point for them to be there. If they don't stop this continuing resolution, they should just leave. So call them right now. We'll wait. In fact, we'll take a break right now and head to the fun half while you call, so you won't miss any part of the show. What's the number again?
202-224-3121. Capital Switchboard. And you're calling your senators here because we're talking about cloture.
Yep. Do not pass that continuing resolution. The more calls they get, the more they'll realize that people are paying attention. They don't want you to be focused on this. They don't want anybody to be focused on this. They are risk averse. And you, by calling them, begin to increase the risk of them voting for the continuing resolution. That's basically how this is played. Don't forget, you can support this program by becoming a member. Join themajorityreport.com. Also, justcoffee.coop, Fair Trade Coffee. It's a co-op in Madison, Wisconsin. They really take care of their suppliers around the globe. And you can use the coupon code majority and get 10% off. You get the Majority Report blend. In the fun half today, we're going to go over one or two segments of this surrounded thing. We'll do them over the course of the week. I may do a full on like reaction like the kids.
Yeah.
Kids say. But we'll do one segment today because it was the segment where I guess that wasn't that segment where they thought that I was the conservative and the other, but we'll do this one.
No,
we'll get to that one too.
Though.
All right. ESPN on break. Left Reckoning.
Yeah, tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern, 2 interviews for folks. Terrence Ray of the Trillbillies talking about the sort of invention of blue states. He has a really good piece in The Nation about that. And Carl Bayer talking about the abduction of Mahmoud Khalil and also Ukraine-Russia stuff. So check that out tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern. Subscribe to us on YouTube.
See you in the... Oh, are we going to play that thing that guy made? Yeah. For the fun half? Yeah. What's his name? Yeah.
No, you don't want to react to it?
Oh, yeah, I guess we can. All right, let's do the regular fun half. We'll see you in the fun half.
You are in for it.
All right, folks, 646-257-3920. See you in the fun half.
Oh, no.
Are you ready?
Who sent us this?
Alpha males are back, boys back, and the alpha males are back.
Just as delicious as you could imagine.
The alpha males are back, boys back, and the alpha males are back.
Just wanna degrade the white man.
Alpha males are back.
I take all of it to my throat.
Alpha males are back.
Snowflake says what?
The alpha males are back.
You are a madman!
And the alpha males are back.
Oh no, Sam Seder! What a fucking nightmare!
We bring back DJ Denner.
Yeah, or a couple of them. Just put them in rotation.
DJ Denner.
Well, the problem with those is they're like 45 seconds long, so I don't know if they're enough of a break.
That's fucking nonsense. See white people doing drugs, they look worse than normal white people, and all white people look disgusting.
And the alpha males,
psych, fuck them. Snowflake says what? What? Snowflake says what?
a hell of a lot of bank. A hell of a lot of bank. A hell of a
lot of bank, okay? I'm making stupid money. Hell of a lot of bank. A hell of a lot of bank.
All lives matter. Have you tried doing an impression on a college campus?
I think that there's no reason why reasonable people across the divide can't all agree with this. Psych.
And the alpha males are back. And the Africans are black African. And the alpha males are black. And the Africans are back.
When you see Donald Trump out there, doesn't a little part of you think that America deserves to be taken over by jihadists? Keeping it 100. Can't knock the hustle. Come on, fuck 'em. Things I do for the bigger game plan. By the way, it's my birthday. Happy birthday to me, Jew boy.
I have a thought experiment for you. And the alpha males are back. Africans are black. Alpha males are black. Africans are back.
Come on. Come on. Someone needs to pay the price for blasphemy around here.
I am a total pussy.
We are back. Sam Seder, Emma Vigeland, Majority Report. We got a lot to talk about.
Yes.
We didn't even take any phone calls yesterday. Called Hawley's office. Really love having him as one of my senators, says Muddy Mo. New York transit workers. If you're going to do a segment bashing Cuomo, I'd like to add to it. In 2012, he did a pension reform for all civil workers in New York State called Tier 6, basically increasing contributions from workers and diminishing the payout. He then vetoed Tier 6 reforms that were passed by state Senate and Assembly. As a dig at our union TWU Local 100, they endorsed him both times, second time over Cynthia Nixon. Yeah, it's the union stuff with him, very, very transactional. He knows how to do that. He knows how to punish people, and people are afraid of him. And that's why the voters have to push back in this instance. Charlie Jerk. Sam, did you see the Grok thinks it's Mark Maron in the Jubilee video? Yes, I did see that.
We were laughing about that.
I mean, Grok can do comedy bits. It's, you know, it really, maybe advanced generative intelligence is here.
I mean,
Long
it's
past
already
time.
funnier than Elon.
Sam, your message you wanted people to send to their senators was jumbled. Quit the blather and say something succinct. F you. How's that for succinct? I think people can figure it out. Vote no on the continuing
cloture.
resolution.
Yeah.
Vote no on cloture.
Maybe you just don't understand. The rest of the audience had no problem.
Emmy the Martian. Hey, y'all, loving this. Can we get a weekly making calls segment where you make calls instead of take calls? Left is best. Pep Talks. Hey, Sam, my mother passed away unexpectedly this weekend. She was a huge news follower, and we would talk politics daily. I will miss her hilarious takedowns of who she called the Cheeto in charge. Can she get a shofar to celebrate a wonderful woman and mother? Yes. Sorry.
Rest in peace.
Oh, here's the Elon Musk. Should we talk about this?
Yes.
Elon Musk, incidentally, and this is pretty rough, because of Donald Trump's tariff policies and because of the cutting of government jobs and creating, just broadly speaking, a lot of, I guess, insecurity, uncertainty in the business community. Elon Musk, and also because I guess people are starting to protest Tesla cars, he's lost billions of dollars. billions of dollars in market value.
Tesla stock took a massive hit, specifically on Monday, where it was at its lowest point since 2020. And the reporting is that it lost more than 50% of its value, $800 billion in market cap. It was at its high in December when it was obvious that Donald Trump and Elon Musk were buddies, and he was probably going to get a bunch of more government contracts to subsidize him. But between the two SpaceX back-to-back explosions, the declining Tesla sales that was already happening, and then the acts of protest were in France. Tesla cars were set ablaze in Boston. Tesla charging stations were set ablaze. There are other incidents throughout the country, including just picketing and making it so that people feel like they don't want to financially support this guy who is dismantling the administrative state to get rich.
There's a plastic surgeon in Worcester that has a gold Cybertruck that is in the press talking about, hey, let's be nice to everyone with different political beliefs.
Oh, God. Well, I mean...
Worcester's been just on a real awesome tear lately. I love it. Elon Musk down $148 billion. This according to Bloomberg News. Here he is on
with Larry Kudlow.
Larry Kudlow.
And Larry Kudlow is like more of a traditional conservative who cares about just if stock market go up or stock market go down.
That's it.
And so you can, even though he served under Donald Trump, you can tell I think from this interview, he doesn't like Elon Musk and he doesn't like what's happening right now. And so just like look at, I don't know, the way that Kudlow reacts.
Between lines. But also remember, now Elon Musk has all the data from the HHS of all patients essentially in the health system. He has all the data from the Treasury Department. He is theoretically in charge of, like, I guess, keeping this data safe. Here he is out on a tour assuring people that, like, there was some really special circumstances as to why Twitter was all messed up yesterday and down and up and down and up. In fact, part of it is even down today, I think. Here he is out there explaining that it wasn't him. It was some, oh, I know who it is. It's obviously the people in the middle of fighting back against an invading force in their country. They must have the time to be messing with Twitter.
There was a cyber attack on X today, which shut it down and may have been foreign sourced. It's a big story. You want to give us a moment on that?
Well, we're not sure exactly what happened, but there was a massive cyber attack to try to bring down the X system with IP addresses originating in the Ukraine area.
Oh, wow.
Ukraine area? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wait,
These guys.
Evidence?
Now, you know what's awesome, though, is that these high-tech, almost militarized hackers who took down the X system, as he calls it, they forgot to use their VPN.
I know. Yeah, it is odd that they would leave that breadcrumb trail to a country that is very politically convenient right now. For
At
Elon
a time
Musk.
where they can't really be doing stuff like
Right.
that.
No, this is a perfect time to upset the Trump administration.
Yeah, right.
Try and get that deal signed
Make
again.
sure you leave big breadcrumbs so they know it was us.
Yeah. No evidence. He said massive DDoS attack. I don't know if Anonymous did it. We still don't really know, but like...
You know what else is in the Ukraine area? Russia.
Totally. But like, this is the guy that we want rifling around in the Treasury with access to our social security numbers, our bank information, our medical information, and that he's seemingly feeding into his AI platform because he's so behind, you know, say, I mean, in China and DeepSeek, but even OpenAI, he's behind. So like he's combing through our personal information and putting it into his like database, which was, I guess now it's an it's the X system because he's trying to turn it into a payment app akin to PayPal. So that's where he's grabbing this information from. And look how easily it was hacked into.
Oh my God. Did Kudlow follow up on that? Like how, isn't it strange for hackers to show their IP address? So
yeah.
a massive cyber attack to try to bring down the X system with IP addresses originating in the Ukraine area.
Oh.
Well, so that's your suspicion. Is the website, is the internet up? Is it up yet?
It's up, yeah.
It's up yet. Okay, good. But I just was looking back.
Okay, wow, you really dug into that, bud.
Although Kudlow does ask him a question, maybe this is a good opportunity to just play the next clip where he's basically asking him about like, hey, so your stock price took a massive hit, lost 50% of its value on Monday since its peak in December. You know, your rockets, he's not saying this, but your rockets are crashing, and you're doing all of this so that you can like feel like a king and steal everybody's personal information for your new like Venmo payment system on X, and just torching his reputation in the process. I mean, Elon Musk's favorables have just completely fallen off a cliff. And in this clip here, do you have it, Bradley? No, the part where he looks like he's going to cry.
Oh, yes.
He looks like he's going to cry when Kudlow asks him about like the state of his businesses here and how he's going to keep juggling all of this. And I'd imagine some members of the boards of his companies have the same questions as he's on ketamine and maybe some other things publicly all the time.
And that was only growing over time, which meant if we didn't do something about this, then there won't be any money for anything. We'll just be servicing debt.
And you know how to read an income statement, and you know how to read a balance sheet. You've had some business experience. I'm kidding, but yeah, you know about this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, really, I just don't want America to go bankrupt.
Pause it. Well, you know what? Maybe you should do, if you're really worried about this, why would you stop billions, in fact, trillions of dollars of revenue from coming in?
Yeah, well, you cut taxes.
I mean, when you start to like dig into what Tesla's business model has been, which is like not actually making money off of the cars they're selling, but making money off of the carbon offset credits that they get, you know,
that they sell to polluters.
Government program. Maybe it starts to make sense as to why he doesn't really realize that you need income coming in from in any way to fund your production. But continue on this
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, really, I just don't want America to go bankrupt.
So it's a call to action. You're hearing a call to action.
Yeah.
You're giving up your other stuff. I mean, how are you running your other businesses?
With great difficulty. Yeah, I mean,
but there's no turning back, you're saying.
I'm just here trying to make government more efficient, eliminate waste and fraud, and so far we're making good progress, actually. So our savings at this point exceed $4 billion a day. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty significant.
You think you'll wind up getting to $1 trillion?
You're a pretender.
Yeah,
of savings.
I mean, unless we're stopped, we will get to $1 trillion of savings.
And that.
You are a douchebag.
Yeah. Was it all worth it? Was it worth it? Like, you could have just been the richest guy on the planet, but not enough.
Oh, he'll still be.
Oh, he still will be, yeah. That's the thing. But it does hurt his ability if this continues, this protest movement about Tesla. If that continues to crash, and, like, there's some shady accounting. We don't need to get into it right now, but like there's a...
You have your intel service.
I mean, I should, yeah, I need to call out to Nassau County, but like green car stocks was, and everyone should check out Crystal Ball on TikTok. She's a great explainer about this, but there seems to be some smoke around the idea that 4 car dealerships in Canada sold 8,600 vehicles in just 3 days, which would mean that the 4 stores would have to average 2 vehicles per minute. And the reason that that's significant is that once they hit that quota, they became eligible at the last minute for $30 million worth of electric vehicle rebate grants from the government of Canada.
That's convenient.
How many times, and you know, still needs to be more reporting on this, we will see in the coming days, but how many times has he done this? Maybe whoever bought those 8,600 vehicles certainly wasn't people coming in off the street and just saying, I'm going to buy a car right away in 30 seconds, and doing that over and over again across these 4 dealerships. How many times is he doing this? This is like the conservative book sales thing, where they want to get Bill O'Reilly to the top of the charts, and so they buy all his, killing books with the money that's at their disposal. What I would love to audit, talking about auditing, I'd love to audit Tesla. I'd love to audit SpaceX and see if there have been some decimals moved around or money that's unaccounted for. Because when he talked about how if Kamala Harris wins, he feels like he's going to be going to jail, what did he mean by that? He could have just been hysterical and having a really bad come down that day, or he could have something to hide.
This is actually pretty funny. The Fox News was apparently like pulling off its on camera, the little scroll in the bottom where it has what's going on with the stock market. The Republicans suddenly, remember Donald Trump was bragging about the stock market in his first term? And then it just, took off during Biden's term. The fact of the matter is that 80% of stocks are owned by 20% of the people, or somewhere around that in this country. There are folks who have institutional investors have pension money in a lot of these stocks. All I can say is, thank God we have Social Security as part of our 3-legged retirement stool, because if we were relying on 401ks right now, as the stock market is tanking, folks who are retiring, folks who have saved up their whole lives, folks who have been working jobs like, you name it, working as a superintendent of a building, working as a teacher, working as a construction worker. If they didn't have their Social Security and they were just relying on what's happening in the stock market, and if they're retiring now, right? They went through 2008. They've gone through a lot. And if you got to retire, if you plan to retire right now, or you're planning to retire in the next 6 months, you're asking yourself, do I do it now? Do I take it out now? Or do I wait? Is it going to come back up, or is it going to go down? Don't know. Here is Newsmax Rob Schmidt. Now, they are pivoting from don't worry, everything's going to be fine, to, hey, maybe it's actually better if the stock market tanks.
Welcome to Rob Schmidt Tonight. When Americans voted Donald Trump into office, they voted for massive change. And we're now starting to feel the turbulence that comes from such change. It is both political, it is also economic. The markets tanked today. Investors worried as Trump works to reimagine the American economy and our foreign policy economically. Massive government cuts, tariffs, and the mass deportation of cheap, illegal American labor. All of that is instability, and Wall Street hates instability. But it is important to remember, as you look at the markets, that as most Americans were gutted by inflation these last 3 years, those same markets as indicators were skyrocketing. So perhaps stocks need to take a nosedive so the working man can get a little relief from all of this inflation. Most Americans...
Folks, let me just tell you what he just did there. You know what was also happening when inflation happened? People were breathing air.
Yeah.
Maybe if people stop breathing air, inflation will go down. There is no economist in the world, even the Treasury Secretary, said, well, we may get some inflation from tariffs. It's going to be temporary. And incidentally, that doesn't even include the economic implications of the retaliation. China now has added tariffs to a lot of our agricultural products.
Yep, chicken,
almonds.
Yeah.
Wheat. I'm sure Kowalski from Nebraska has already probably IM'd us and said, ooh, we got a problem. I'm sure he had. No, about the tariffs.
Corn, too, which is
But maybe if the
major
stock
product for
market
us.
goes down, all the prices will go down.
That's only good for people sitting on a large amount of money who can go on a shopping spree.
Oh,
which
you know
is
what?
Not people
You know
worried
what
about
will
egg
go?
prices.
You know what will go down? The price of stocks. And so
Oh,
all
yeah.
those guys hoarding all that cash will be able to go back into the stock market. Is there any more to this, or do we need to? Yeah, let's hear a little more.
A little relief from all of this inflation. Most Americans have little engagement with Wall Street, maybe a modest 401k, which at this rate will cover a few years of their retirement if
Tax
they're
Wall
lucky.
Street then.
Pause it!
Right now, Trump
Bless this man. Despite the fact that he is making up some type of relationship between the stock market going down and inflation dropping when we're going to impose tariffs, if we impose tariffs. Despite that, he understands that this 401k experiment started essentially by Ronald Reagan has been an abject failure for the vast majority of Americans. They can barely, first of all, they can barely save on their own. The vast majority of Americans. And then they are basically left to the whims of the market, the stock market. I mean, what percentage of Americans even know how to buy stocks? And then I'm talking like literally how to buy stocks. And then the ones who do,
Yeah.
what percentage of them knows what stocks they should buy and end up not losing money?
I mean, a lot of them are going into crypto instead, which has a whole nother set of implications. But we can keep going.
I don't know if you can put crypto in your 401k.
No, you can't. But I just mean in terms of like when they're trying to create their own financial stability, a lot of folks are buying crypto, and that is widely speculative.
Yep.
Yeah.
cover a few years of their retirement if they're lucky. Right now, Trump is attempting to reimagine our entire economy because it's not working too well when you really think about it. If this plan works, labor in this country will cost more as workers see better pay. Less outsourcing and fewer illegals plunging the pay scale.
Oh, damn it.
Deportations could also bring relief on home prices as well. Less demand for housing.
Pause it for 1 second. I got news for you about the workers and the wages. There may be more money to pay the workers, but they have completely undermined what little protections labor has in this country. And I got news for you who's going to end up with all that extra cash. It ain't going to be in labor's pockets. Good.
Deportations could also bring relief on home prices as well. Less demand for housing means the price of housing goes down.
Less supply too.
All of these that I just listed off are bad things for Wall Street. Every single one of them is bad for Wall Street, but they are great for Main Street.
The tariffs are going to function as a regressive tax, a compounding sales tax that is going to be borne more by the bottom 90%, even more in the bottom 50%, even more the bottom 20, 10%. That's what a regressive tax is. It's just compounding an already existing one.
The idea that Donald Trump is motivated to raise labor prices, something that he has been in media for decades saying is too high and is making us uncompetitive in this country, is a joke.
That's part of what they're doing, I think, with firing the federal workforce as well. They want to move more and more people into the private sector and at the whims of capitalists. And I'm sorry to be reverse racist, but I am just like flummoxed that is not the Rob that we from Newsmax that we played yesterday. That there are two hosts named Rob that look exactly alike on Newsmax. We played a clip. It's a different Rob.
Wait, what?
There's Rob Schmidt and Rob Finnerty, and they are both Newsmax hosts, and they could might as well be identical twins. This is the guy we played yesterday.
What are you saying? You have trouble telling them apart?
I'm saying I just can't believe that they have
all
two
Robs
hosts,
look alike?
both named Rob, both on Newsmax, and both, anyway.
They don't want to make it complicated.
I understand that they're using like the 3D printer for these right wingers, I guess, but whoa.
20-minute poop club.
Oh.
Your Jubilee video is getting around. I'm catching my students watching clips of it and looking shocked and laughing at some of what the conservatives said. Thought you might like to know. Yes, that was actually my hope.
It's gotten around more than I kind of expected it to.
Mila told me you got to do that.
Oh my God, everybody is talking about it. Your Jubilee thing. We've got to talk about it at least a little today, right?
Yeah, let's. Oh, this is pretty funny. So apparently, these conservatives on Twitter, I think they're I don't know. I'm surprised at their reaction. They could have ignored this.
They can't.
But apparently they don't feel they can. Now, who's this cat turd guy? Wasn't he like Elon Musk's friend and then he got rejected or something like that? What happened?
He's a major conservative, crap posting account, right, Matt, you would say?
Yeah, he's big. Occasionally he has issues with Trump, but he's just a sad
like
Trumper.
An Ian Miles Chong type.
Yeah.
So they saw this guy that you were debating, and because
this is the guy, this is the picture of the guy who was telling me that folks get tax cuts if they hire black people. That's what DEI is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what DEI is. Folks don't get tax cuts if they hire black people. Did we go through this the other day with the, we did during the promo. There is a program where you will get tax cuts if you hire, this is the work opportunity tax cut. And you scroll down and you do get a tax cut if you hire qualified citizens. So who are they? Scroll down. I think it's all the way down at the bottom. Targeted groups. It can be a qualified IVA. Hit that. Qualified is an individual as a member of a family receiving assistance under a state program. So in other words, you remember all the work qualification programs? Like you can't qualify. No, keep that up here. Keep that up here. You can't qualify for Medicaid unless you get a job that all the Republicans want to do. Well, this encourages that.
For, people in lower income.
People who are getting family assistance under a state program, the way you get them out of it is by getting them into a job, according to the Republicans. So that's what they do. Or if you're a qualified veteran. This is the thing that he was complaining about. Or if you're a qualified ex-felon, right? Because you want people to be able to work and you want to encourage ex-felons to get back into society and rehabilitate. Or a designated community resident. Click that. You got to be 18-year-old and under 40 and have a principal residence within an empowerment zone or rural renewal county. And what does this do? It encourages businesses to go to rural areas or encourages businesses to go to struggling areas within a city or in a suburb. Set up the business there and it makes it's essentially a subsidy for the business. A vocational rehabilitation referral. Click on that. That is, if you are have a physical or mental disability, and you're still working on working on that and rehabilitating, and you can get a job.
That's
qualified
the A.
summer youth programs,
Yeah.
qualified SNAP benefits recipients, qualified security income, that's SSI income recipients. Long-term family assistance, qualified long-term unemployment recipient. Now, there may be black people who are there. Maybe you have a black guy, he's served in the military, he's a vet, but that's it. And then the guy was telling me that not only do they get that in the private sector, and we just saw the only program which provides those tax cuts, they also get this in the public sector. And I said, what are you talking about? Agencies don't get tax cuts because they don't pay any taxes, because they are the government. The government doesn't pay taxes to itself.
Yeah. Pretty rudimentary that government agencies are funded by the government.
Kind of a weird category to make in any circumstance.
And he was adamant that I was wrong in his argument as to why DEIA should be cut.
Should we play that clip?
Yeah, let's play that clip.
It's kind of short.
Yep, here it is.
This was maybe the stupidest moment.
Now, in terms of a DEI initiative, the reason why there's military bans on trans women and trans men is because they do not have the ability to cooperate at a mental capacity when they're constantly undergoing hormone treatment, as well as depression pills, as well as different mood stabilizer pills. And so when you go out to
aside
combat,
from the theory that all trans people are heavily medicated at any time, I don't think if you are heavily medicated and your medication is preventing you from performing your duties, I also don't think that they're going to be putting you on the front lines in the military.
No.
Because that would be a problem for everybody. I mean, it's not like trans people are the only people who are depressed at times or taking medication.
There's a trans man in the military that was profiled by the New York Times, and he said that his only gender-affirming treatment is 1 testosterone shot a week. Now, the Republicans are adamantly against testosterone shots. I mean, just ask RFK Jr., whose physical appearance in his 70s looks quite... He's 70, right?
Yeah.
It looks a little different.
100%.
So, I mean, they must be really against testosterone shots if that's the case.
Continue on with this.
Pills as well as different mood stabilizer pills. And so when you go out to combat, do you really think you're going to bring an ice cooler pack with your whether that be hormone estrogen or whatever it may be while you're about to shoot someone of the opposing war?
Well, the executive orders that Trump gave were DEIA orders that had to do with agencies that have nothing to do with the military.
Yes, they do. Yes, they absolutely do.
The FDA. They just revoked the ability of the Air Force to teach Air Force members about the Tuskegee Airmen.
Well,
what are we talking about here?
Okay, well,
honestly,
all right,
pause it for 1 second. Now, to be fair, this was shot in January, and within a couple of days they had reversed it. But we also know since then they have removed something like 40,000 images because they contained women or black people or Native Americans. Through like military documents and I guess websites and whatnot. It's just bizarre. But go ahead.
Well,
what are we talking about here?
Okay, well,
honestly, they're rewriting history.
Well, that's your perspective, right? But at the end of the day, if a person...
Tuskegee Airmen, we can all agree existed, right?
Just listen to this. If you were racist, right, and you were an employer, and if you wanted to absolutely be racist and exercise that, you would. I think DEI sort of prevents people from seeing the reality. If a person truly wanted to hire you based on your intellect, based on your skill set, they would. DEI essentially provides tax cuts for the end of the year when you
pause it now. I've never been so gish-galloped by nonsense. I don't
at the end of the day, Sam.
I couldn't even follow what he was saying. That DEI prevents people from seeing how racist people are, and it doesn't allow their discrimination to come out in the open. And understand, DEI doesn't do anything in terms of the hiring thing except it allows for putting public notice in a bunch of different communities. Low-income communities. It also, I think, encourages summer internships, low-income communities, but also other places. All DEI does, to the extent that it's involved in the hiring process, is to expand the pool of people who are considered, not to give extra points to anybody. That's the whole point. And then, for those people who are already hired, to make sure that there's nothing that's happening within the workplace that is discriminatory. So and that's why it's DEIA. Make sure that things are accessible. Go ahead.
Essentially provides tax cuts for the end of the year when you create your tax returns. They give you a tax credit for hiring someone who is black or a person of color. I don't know if you knew that.
In these agencies?
In agencies and private
in government
businesses.
Agencies, they don't get tax cuts for hiring people of color.
And the other thing I wanted
this is to protect people from discrimination.
The other thing I want to kind of state here is that I've realized that a lot of the times with the liberals is that you guys push for example, for DEI and people of Latino or Hispanic descent. And a lot of the times what you don't realize is you're actually doing more harm than good by putting them in positions where you make them believe that it's based on the color of their skin. It's based on...
DEIA does not... is not
It's based on merit. DEI emphasizes color, skin color, physical attributes.
It says that the people who work in your agency, it's about anti-discrimination.
Discrimination against what?
Against people who may have different cultural mores, may have different...
But that's irrelevant to a job, right? It should be based on merit. And that is the emphasis
People
here.
get hired as a merit, but if the DEIA, I'm talking about Trump's rescission of these orders
If you received a
on
tax
these
cut
agencies.
as an employer, wouldn't you hire a person of color?
Dude,
if you could pay them less?
Listen, we're talking about government agencies that do not get tax cuts. They don't. Government agencies.
They don't.
No.
Yes, they do. They absolutely do.
I'm talking about...
Do
you understand? Like, there's such a cascade of complete nonsense that it was sort of hard for me to catch up and address. Like, how do you have a conversation with someone who thinks government agencies... How do you have a policy conversation with somebody who thinks government agencies pay taxes?
The FDA is busy doing their taxes because it's coming up now.
I mean, Sam, the grass is blue. Grass is blue.
The IRS.
Yes,
that's the
it
thing.
is.
You've really got to monitor when the IRS does their taxes. You've really got to monitor it because they know how to get around all of the rules.
I think, I almost feel for him because I feel like he's almost putting on this smug persona
It's an audition.
In a way to really obscure the fact that he has no idea what he's talking about.
But the thing is, he volunteered to go jump and sit in that seat. It's just the level of assuredness and the absolute level of wrongness. And so I was completely flummoxed at this point. I didn't know how to communicate any further, but this is what I did. No,
they do. They absolutely do.
I'm talking about
every private and public sector gets tax cuts when you hire a person of color.
Government agencies don't pay taxes. Government agencies are funded by the government.
That is not true. That is not true. And you know what? I think the whole juxtapose of this entire conversation.
What month is this?
This is January.
Okay, so we can agree on that. The FDA does not pay taxes. It does not get a tax cut because it doesn't pay taxes. DEIA forces them as an agency to say, if you have a job opening, you must do your best efforts to make sure that every
I like that.
part
I love
of
me a
society...
buzzword. You must do your best effort.
How do you respond to that? Must is not a buzzword.
Must. It's a buzzword, apparently.
It's more like legalese.
It almost honestly, I have to say, it was a brilliant strategy because I am so confused as to what is going on here?
What? That's a very nice buzzword there. Why are you hiding behind words that connect other words here?
I don't know if there's any more to play there. I guess, people can watch this.
People can watch it.
But the funny part about this is on Twitter, somebody saw some clip of it. This guy, Carly Bonet.
He said yeesh. So it's clearly, I think it's about how much you embarrass this person. And they say yeesh, but it's not specific about who is who and who's the liberal.
I don't know
who
anything about Carly Bonet. I suspect that they must be a conservative because blue check, flag, and cat turd must follow them, right?
Right.
And so he sees this and just assumes that this guy is the liberal and writes, cat turd does, liberals are so dumb. And then people in the comments just start jumping on that bandwagon without looking at it.
Tisha Aramira says that look you get when you know you have to debate a brainless, witless social justice warrior clown whose IQ is mid-50s.
Okay, and
They're making you into a conservative meme.
Picture, and they take a picture of me and say like they think I'm the conservative in this. They have not. It's fascinating.
The person responds, he's the progressive, actually. The guy who you're calling the clown is the conservative. Whoops. And then this person responds, really? He sounded like the adult in the room, LOL. Perhaps it could be a good opportunity for you to think about that a little bit more. Maybe you want to think about it a little bit more when you saw this clip, how Sam spoke authoritatively about things that he knows about, and this guy spewed a bunch of BS. And it's pretty obvious to anybody, right?
I just don't understand. Like, did people not listen to the thing or
no,
or what?
They looked at you without the audio playing and said, look at that man.
Look at that man who is a cis older white man. Look at this younger person who
with
I don't
a fancy
know.
Haircut.
I don't know what his sexuality is, but
bigotry does not exist.
Yes,
guys.
Yeah.
Okay, it's all based on merit.
And so they just saw the identities of the people in the video and said, and also saw that you succeeded in beating up on that person rhetorically, and they thought it was you. So pretty incredible.
So that happened. Let's do we have the other one where the religious fundamental one.
This is the one that is being recirculated as the own on conservative media, which is also not true. But I do think it's something interesting to pay attention to with the reaction to which has gone viral, which is extremely exciting because you did such a great job. But like the fact that they saw the way that left-wing spaces responded to this debate and how much you humiliated these people that don't have basic knowledge, and they feel like they need to counteract that. So both Matt Walsh and Charlie Kirk tweeted about you. Matt Walsh tweeted about me last week too.
Right. And I think Knowles too.
Yeah. And they were like, oh, Sam Seder owned. And they used this clip as the example. I disagree. But it's the same thing with the cat turd thing. It doesn't, they didn't even, most of them aren't even watching the video.
They want their people to go to the comments, and because the comments are massively in favor of Sam, they're trying to brigade it.
They're trying, and this happened with me with Tim Pool too, where the post-millennial and Elon Musk got on board when, I thought I did a pretty good job in that debate. And then you, 12 hours later, have all the conservative accounts at the same time saying Emma owned or now Sam owned, because they always think that they are so terrified of not being cool or being sidelined in the culture. So they flood the zone with a bunch of propaganda as a way to combat it.
It's cope.
Well, there's a lot of cope around this, but I will say that I don't think I handled this guy as well as I could have. Now, with that said, the prompt was, unless you are a billionaire or a xenophobic nationalist or a religious fundamentalist, voting for Trump was a mistake. And I wanted to phrase it like that because I wanted to explain to these folks why Trump's policies favor only billionaires in terms of relative millionaires and whatnot, but certainly billionaires, and why they only favor a certain amount of xenophobic nationalism, or it is great for Christian fundamentalists. I probably should have said theocrats, right? And my assumption was that I was going to be in a position to explain that these elements are part and parcel of the Trump administration. I did not anticipate that multiple people would come up. There was no billionaires there, but there was, it turns out, a xenophobic nationalist who came up and was like, why is that a bad thing?
Who works for Elijah Schaefer and
the guy fired by Glenn Beck for sexual assault accusations.
And I didn't go into it. I mean, on some level, it's a choice. Like, you can hate immigrants. Like xenophobia means something, It's not a made up word, although I think that woman actually said it's a made up word. All words are made up, incidentally. But they have a meaning. It's in the dictionary. And for me, it is, it's obvious. It's self-evident that that's a bad thing. And really, on some level, my bet is, in that instance, that the majority, maybe not the vast majority of people, maybe not the people sitting around me, but certainly the majority of people who are going to see this are going to say, hey, wait a second. I'm not a xenophobic nationalist.
Yeah.
Like, we're seeing this already with immigrants who are like, well, I thought they were only going to take the criminals. And so that was my theory there. It was also my theory with approaching the question of theocrats. On some level, it is so self-evident to me that you don't want to live in a religious theocracy that it took me a while to realize, like, oh, this guy, he is promoting a religious theocracy. And I didn't really do a good a job as I could have, I think, in refuting it. But we're not refuting that it's a religious theocracy, but that why it's bad to live in a religious theocracy.
Because 10 years ago, this would have been self-evident, but we're in a very reactionary right-wing time. And I do think that they are also overreaching here by thinking that this plays beyond their little circle jerk.
That's the thing, is that I don't think I did as good a job as I could have, but I still... I didn't have to, because that guy made the case for me.
Yeah.
But here is this exchange.
Okay, so I would like to touch on the religious fundamentalist aspect. Are you an atheist?
I'm a Reformed Jew. I don't have a strong belief in the existence of God, but I don't think that religion in and of itself is bad.
Okay, so what's wrong with religious fundamentalists? So, like, you said trans rights and women's rights or something like that?
Well, the problem I have with religious fundamentalists, and really more, I guess it's really theocrats, is that they want to impose their morality that comes from their religion on the rest of us, and I don't. But
morality, from your view, is going to be a preference, right? It's not morality; it's a preference. So morality without a foundation is going to reduce you to a preference.
Well, I have a foundation for my morality.
Which is what?
It's a humanist vision of what basically creates as little suffering as possible for as many people.
Okay, so you're like a consequentialist? Utilitarian?
I don't really pause in there now. They couldn't have known this, I don't think.
That guy could be a Tim Pool fan.
It's possible, but this, of course, was the whole gotcha that Tim Pool had. And what I should have said in this moment is, I'm like Thanos.
But you did laugh because
I did laugh. No,
it
it totally occurred to me that this was like about Tim Pool, but nobody else was going to get that. But here's the thing. Here's what he's saying to me. And I don't think I really understood what he was getting at until much later in this conversation. But what he's getting at is he's arguing that his version of religious fundamentalism is the most sound version of how you should have, provides for him the most sound vision of how life should be and how people should be organized. And he's trying to make the point when he says, like, you have no morality, it's just preference. Ultimately, it is a preference. I mean, one's vision of the world is a preference. I like my vision, he likes his vision. His argument is that his vision is better than mine because it has a foundation in a moral code developed by God. And that mine is just flimsy because it's not developed by God or whatever version of God that I have. Just continue. Just keep that in mind. That's what he's trying to get at. But let him speak, because it takes me a while to sort of like realize, oh, this is, okay, I see what you're saying. You're telling me that your version of religious fundamentalism, because this guy could have been a fundamentalist Muslim. He could have been a fundamentalist Jew who would have a different sense of how we should live our lives. He could have been a Hindu. He could have been a Buddhist. Now, some of these religions don't impose in the same way that this guy wants to do. But just understand, like, I could have gotten to this much quicker if I had understood sort of where he was headed, and I would have conceded. Yes, it's a preference. We have different preferences. I continue. With being a consequentialist or a utilitarian.
It's always going to reduce you to a preference. So if you say that killing is wrong and I say it's right, you would really have no contention with that.
Well, no, I don't base my understanding of civil society on religion. And so we have a civil society. Okay. We have laws that we have decided as a society in a democratic way. And for some people, it's okay for it to be informed by their religion. That's okay.
Okay, perfect. So if tomorrow society comes together and we say, hey, trans folks don't deserve rights, you would be okay with that?
No, I would be against it, but I mean, it would be
morally right under your
not
view.
Morally right. No. I'm not talking about morals.
Okay, so
here's the thing: is that this guy wants to organize civil society under a set of morals. Now he wants them to be his morals, and from my perspective, you organize civil society under a sense of justice. And on some level, egalitarianism. And that's where we start to have this difference. But he wants me to live in his frame, and I'm not quite fully understanding what he's trying to argue here. But yes, it is a set of preferences, and now he moves on to try and say his preferences are better. And he's trying to give me these hypotheticals as to what is the basis of you being against, everybody arguing that trans people should not exist?
Can I say this is fundamentally anti-American? You don't need a God to believe your morality has any kind of foundation. But you know what doesn't have a foundation in this country is theocracy. All the founding fathers were theists.
I think that's self-evidently true. They had the opportunity to set it up as a theocracy, and they didn't do it.
No, we have separation of church and state.
They wrote against it.
In fact, they were rejecting a king. And in societies that have a king, they are the number 2 person in the universe with power. Number 1 is God, who delegates to the king, who then delegates out. Understand that, like, feudalism and monarchy, those are all religious constructs. And they are all religious constructs. And so fundamentally, theocracy is contrary to American life. But that's not the argument that he even wants to make. He's trying to make an argument that religious fundamentalism, his version, incidentally, religious Christianity, and not just religious Christianity, but fundamental Christianity as he understands it, is the best system on its merits. And I don't fully realize he's trying to make this argument yet. All right, but continue.
Religious foundations provide an ethical framework for one to live their life off of.
I believe you can have an ethical framework without
and if we take the leftist view to its logical tail end, to its extreme view, you have low reproductive birth rates, you have a reproductive dead end, so 2 men together can't reproduce unless they have to take from a healthy straight couple. Religion provides this foundation.
Okay, pause it right there. So now all of a sudden he's the utilitarian. He's the consequentialist, right? If you take leftist views here and you don't follow God's prescripts, again, as he understands it, then we have low birth rates.
Yep.
Okay. As a utilitarian, this guy should know, like, well, all right, maybe in theory, but that's not a danger. The reason why we have low birth rates is not because of gay marriage. In fact, as gay marriage has progressed, we've seen higher birth rates amongst those people.
I mean, he just made that case about surrogacy.
Exactly.
I'll just say the highest birth rate, if we're going by religions, is Muslims. So maybe they have a secret.
Okay.
They don't like
I mean,
that part.
honestly, that's the thing. Is he switches to a utilitarian perspective because he wants to argue that his Christian fundamentalism is the best way to organize society. And it's a theocracy. And you can say reject theocracy based upon it not being American in that sense. But ultimately, it is a preference. He's decided to organize society around stuff that he has interpreted, or he's been told how to interpret, in a book that was written a long time ago. Religion certainly, I was raised Jewish. Religion certainly informs parts of my worldview, without a doubt. I don't know if I could disaggregate it and say which one it does, but certainly aspects of it do. My Jewish schooling definitely does. I happen to have been exposed to the Holocaust more than your average person who's not Jewish as a kid. That informed my thinking. There are a lot of things that inform my thinking. It is not, and I don't even have to make the argument that I think it's better if you're not constrained by a book written by somebody who was aspiring to power 2,000 years ago or 3,000 years ago or 5,000 years ago. I don't even have to make that argument because we can just do it on its merits. We can just say, my preferences are that women are not subjugated and are not second-class citizens. My preferences are that people have the right to express themselves in their sexuality. My preferences are that people are treated the same regardless of whether they're gay or straight in terms of marriage. My preferences are that if you are a member of civil society, you follow those laws. So if abortion is legal, if contraception is legal, you don't get an out if you want to be a pharmacist and not provide that.
But they feel threatened, and this goes back to, as long as I've paid attention to politics, religious fundamentalism feels threatened by a more like collectivist worldview that is about making everybody's lives better, because that is something that contradicts their hierarchical view of society, right? So when they talk about morality, they don't mean morality, because it's not moral to drive trans kids to suicide, or to say gay people can't live the lives that they want to live, or to say that, as this guy will later say, women should be subjugated, and we'll get to that later. Though there's no morality there because of the pain that it inflicts upon people. So they have to prescribe an artificial morality, which in reality is just control, domination, a set of rules and prescriptions that make them feel like they can make sense of the world because of who they are subjugating and dominating. And what you're talking about threatens that, because it's not connected to a hierarchy or to this set of rules. It's connected to humanism.
And I don't even have to argue. I think you can. One is more moral than others. I'm just arguing that as a vision for America, I am willing to put my vision for America, where women have the same rights as men, where black people have the same rights as white people. Let's not make any mistakes here. Anti-miscegenation laws were justified on religious grounds. When the religious right started to get active in politics in this country, it was because they were not getting tax cuts, or they were not getting tax. They were subjects to tax if they didn't follow U.S. civil rights. And so things like, Bob Jones University, that's when they started getting in there and talking about abortion. It wasn't exclusively the reason, but that was a big problem for them. Slavery, also justified on religious grounds. Not just slavery. The taking of native property in this country, or native land, and killing them was based upon a papal edict. Mm-hmm. Religion has allowed for domination throughout. And, people can argue whether it's moral or not moral. I would suggest it is, but I don't even need to argue that. I can just argue, what is a vision of this country? Keep playing with this, dude. Do you have a problem with gay people being married?
It's not that I have a problem. I just don't see a justification for why they ought to be gay outside of it just feels good. Can you give me another justification for it?
Well, I think maybe that's the way they were born.
Okay, what about pedophiles? Are they born that way?
They may be, yeah.
Okay, so should we let a pedophile off the hook since they were born that way?
No, I think we as a society is
Should implement duties to prevent them from acting on that innate urge, correct?
Well, I think between consenting adults,
So now
it's a
he's
different
saying, his argument is, and he wants to create this as this is some type of logic problem, right? Pedophiles are acting on their urges. Gay people are acting on their innate urges. Therefore, they're the same. The implications of these two things in his mind are the same. And if we can tell pedophiles, hey, don't victimize children
who can't consent,
subsume that urge, then we could say that to gay people. And so now he's saying it's about consent, right? So that's what I say. I say it's about consent. And here is his argument after that. And his whole point is like, you, Sam, have no, you just look at it case by case and assess what is right and what is wrong. And he can't do that. He has a set of rigid laws that are prescribed to him by somebody in the sky via, his pastor, whomever it is that has told him.
Saying, don't be gay.
And don't be gay.
Good impression.
Even if you think it feels good.
But the funny thing is that it goes from morals and some type of logical consistency to then consequentialism, right? Because you could say the same thing about heterosexuals, right? Like it's an urge. Why can't we curb that? Why can't we say one child per household? You cannot, or why can't we say you can only fornicate for children? It's an urge. You can subsume it. Well, he would say, it is the outcomes of that. We need more children. We don't want low birth rates. Okay, you can only have sex if it's to consummate, to actually have a child. And this is where they would go, because that's why they say we can control contraception.
But he's conflating pedophilia and homosexuality. I just want to make this clear. Even though there is not a victim in the case of consensual homosexual relationships.
Watch where he goes with his consent stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so you're okay with the 45-year-old dad with the 19-year-old daughter as well? Incest.
No.
If they consent, you're okay with that?
No, I think society has also determined that it's not beneficial.
Right, there's duties and obligations that we have. So religion provides those duties. Life isn't about freedom and exercising what you want.
I mean, all right, pause it. So first off, in his world, life is not about freedom and exercising what you want. Now, he keeps switching between the consequentialism of you can't have gay marriage because it doesn't produce babies. And then he goes back to it's just these rigid laws. Life is not about what you want. It is about laws that have been set down literally from stone, from God. And it's not about consent. It's about society making choices here. But this is why, based upon what he's saying, the next step in saying you cannot have contraception is where they lead to. Because again, it's not about having fun. It's not about choices. And just like we tell pedophiles to curb their urges, we can tell gay people to curb their urges. And then we can tell straight people, curb your urges. Sex is only to procreate. And that's their standing.
Well, not straight people. Half of straight people.
Well, they would, listen, guys can do that on the side, but as long as it doesn't, interfere with their thing. I mean, that's why they will shut down abortion. And so I could have done this much quicker by saying, yes, you have a preference. I have a preference. Let's articulate those preferences of what society should be. How do you vision? And here is one of the elements that this guy, apparently he has this on his avatar. Put this picture up. This guy, one of his visions is not just subjugation of man and women. Here he is. Oh, we should go back to him because I think he does say that actually. But here it is. He's holding up a sign. Women should not vote. And he doesn't mean they should make the choice to not vote. He means they should not be voting.
Right. Because what is also religiously decreed is that in terms of Christian fundamentalism, is that a woman is under the auspices of her husband, and that women came from the rib of man, and they are thus inferior, and they're to be dominated. That's what this is about.
Watch where he goes with this.
Religious doctrine.
No, because you just admitted we need duties. We have responsibility as a society to keep us functioning, to keep us thriving. Your leftist view, the liberal view, doesn't provide anything besides it just makes me feel good. Religion does. So what's your argument?
What's my argument as to why I don't want
you have no
your
contention.
religion to?
Well, it feels good is better than God that I have somehow access to says so.
Well, I mean, I should have early on said, I concede. One is my preference, one is your preference. Let's just lay them out and see what the American public wants. Because it's quite possible we could be going back into the dark ages where women are the property of men. And understand, this isn't just bad for women. It's bad for men.
Of course it is. Of course, men are also victims of patriarchy. But like when he says it just makes you feel good, that's the rule that we abide by. Sam did not say that. Sam said that he is guided by, I'm paraphrasing, but a humanist vision of reducing the suffering in the population for everybody where he can. That is not what he said. But when he brings up examples like pedophilia and compares it to homosexuality, when he also brings up incest and he makes the daughter, who I guess is having this incestual relationship with her father, above the age of consent, and then he says, oh, the rule is it just makes you feel good. What are you saying? When you say that, oh, if we allow gay people to live their lives with, out being encumbered by the state, and then you liken it to two things that are objectively, I would say, immoral because they involve coercive power relationships, whether it be incest with the father having untold power over the daughter that I guess he's having an incestual relationship, even if she's an adult, or when it comes to pedophilia, where the child cannot consent. That's what makes those actions morally reprehensible and wrong, and why we should structure our society to make sure that doesn't happen. That is very clear. But he's basically saying that all of these things are the same and making it, like, honestly telling on himself.
It's all sin, is what he's saying.
Yeah. Yes.
It's all. What'd you say?
It's all sin.
It's all sin, but also, something that a lot of conservatives are curious about.
Because first of all, I don't think that you have the right to corner what God is telling us is right or wrong. And there are differences between religions. And so my argument is, you're not going to keep halal or kosher, right? I mean, I don't believe that someone has a corner on religious truth. And the reason why we have a democracy is because we didn't want a king. And the kings came from the idea that their God said that they're the ones who's supposed to be king. And so we can disagree on this. I don't want to live in a country that is ruled by religious fundamentalism.
And if I do, you have no issue with that.
And no. And this is why I say under Trump, yes, you have won.
Yes.
You have a
Only
bunch
male
of Christian.
and female. You're right.
You have a Christian nationalist,
yes, which is necessary.
And so I concede the point that under Trump, your Christian nationalism has gained an advantage under this.
Sorry, we're going to have more kids. We're going to have less abortions. We're going to have more family. We're going to have stable family households. Sorry about better education.
Gay people should be outlawed.
They should be straight. They should be straight.
Women should be secondary to their husbands.
Women should submit to the husbands.
Women
that doesn't mean they are slaves.
Right,
it doesn't mean they are slaves. It means they are protected. Okay, let me ask you. Let me ask you.
No.
Should women be drafted? Should women be drafted?
Listen, I think
if they're equal, should they be drafted?
I think
I'm sorry. Can you just pause it 1 second?
See, this is where I should have gone. I should have gone to this at the beginning, because this is the stuff that is really
but
relevant.
Sam, you said this to me when I had regrets about things I could have done differently in debates. You always are going to have regrets.
Oh, yes. No, I'm not,
it was a slam dunk. But the point is just like, shoot, I lost it. What was he saying there? Damn it.
Women in the military.
Oh, the draft. This is the incel thing. They always point this up. We haven't had a draft in this country since the Vietnam War. If the draft were to be brought back, I would fundamentally disagree with that and protest against it, because I don't think that as that anybody should be forced into conscription, especially with the way that the United States operates with empire and imperialism. So why do they use this example? The one thing that they can basically find in terms of where men were drafted, it's been over 50 years. Come up with a new example. Keep going.
And I think Trump supports it. I think the Christian nationalists he has throughout his government are all going to work towards your vision. And my hope is that when people look at this, they say, hey, wait a second. I don't want my life to be dictated by the notion of a Christian nationalist prescription. Now, you may win out. I mean, certainly, like if you look at a country like Iran, they have a theocracy there, and that. And apparently that's, good for them if they want it.
My final point is whenever
I don't want to live in a
My final point is whenever we see people live out Christian values to its full extent, we see a great society. When we see people deviate from that, that's where all the problems arise.
All right, I think you are at home in the Trump. Trump
Thank you very much.
And so, from the perspective of Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles, this guy won the debate, and on some level, that was to the extent that he won the debate, it was only because I didn't get to his prescription for what that meant quicker.
Yeah.
I don't think the American public broadly wants to have contraception that is outlawed, that wants abortion outlawed, that wants gay marriage outlawed, that wants trans people erased, that wants women subjugated, not slaves, as he said. They already tried that with the slaves. But I mean, but
second-class citizens who can't vote?
I mean, the question is, obviously, he doesn't want them to vote. Does he want to repeal all the laws that say that rape can actually happen between a wife and a husband? Because that's what we had in this country. You could not be charged with rape in the vast majority of the country just 50, 60 years ago, maybe less. If you raped your wife, it didn't exist.
Now they're
you
bringing
couldn't
back
have
Andrew
a credit
Tate.
card in your own name if you were a woman 60 years ago.
Misogyny
50.
predates even our current economic systems. It goes back as long as almost like written history does. So that the idea that that's just gone away right now is absolutely absurd. And we're in a moment where Andrew Tate just got released with the pressure from the Trump administration, a major misogynist influencer.
Not a Christian though.
Not a Christian, but I mean, he's all about subjugating women, so I'm sure they can get along.
It's gonna
well.
be tough to do the fundamentalism, is all I'm saying.
And was being embraced at that UFC fight by mainstream figures like Mario Lopez. I mean, this is the kind of thing where the arc of history is not linear. There are points of contraction, there are points of expansion, and we are at risk right now of deep contractions of civil rights for a variety of groups. It's already happening, obviously, with trans people, gay people. North Dakota is already introducing something. Some Republicans there about overturning Obergefell so that we could not have gay marriage. And he said it right there. He didn't even say that there shouldn't be gay marriage. He said gay people shouldn't even be gay.
Exist. There was another moment where one of the conservatives was basically saying I don't think people have a problem with gay marriage. Who here would have a problem with gay people kissing? And half the people raised their hands and they're like, oh.
I just want to say, I think there's a risk at labeling these people or understanding these people as representative of young people or even young conservatives in general. And I take Emma's point. I think misogyny is something that will be rearing its head. This religious stuff, there's no gas in that. The religiosity is cratering. It's continued. Just last year, a separate study released in January found religious membership of young Americans was lower than the other demographics. 29% have no religious views. They're not going to be able to turn that around with media, in my opinion. Maybe that's quixotic, but this Christian version of nationalism, I hope they lean into that because
exactly. And that's why that is my point in saying where I could have spent whatever amount of time we had in having him just read off his vision for America, because I think it's completely out of step. And I think it's very easy for a lot of conservatives or people who vote for Trump to ignore the fact that the head of the OMB, Russell Vought, the head of the Secretary of Defense, the Vice President, the Chief of Staff, are all Christian nationalists in this country.
Yeah.
And the list is probably longer.
Russ Vought is maybe the most powerful and most committed Christian nationalist in the government right now.
I'm not convinced that Vance is one
Fair
either.
enough. He's a late convert, which always makes you most insane. But like to your point, Matt, I agree with you on the explicit religiosity. But like what we're seeing with the tech oligarchs and with Project 2025, it is quite easy to marry these two political movements into something that like flattens those things. So Andrew Tate's not a fundamentalist, but he can work quite nicely with religious fundamentalists in their efforts to subjugate women. And we already are in a post-Roe world. It's just it's a matter of time before they start to go after contraception, and specifically contraception that women can control. They're not going after condoms because men can put them on and know when they're on. They're going after birth control, IUDs, and the morning after pill, which are all things that are under the woman's purview and not visible physically. And that's my concern about all of this. But we'll see.
All right, we'll do another clip from that on another day. What else should we do here?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. This is like one of the most depressing things I think I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh.
It's definitely overdone, the idiocracy sort of comparisons, but looking at this still, where it's obvious in advertisement.
Can you put this up? I mean, oh my God. So you got to feel for RFK here. He looks so tense as he just looks upon all that fried food. He's like, another humiliation ritual? Oh my God.
The big thing for Kennedy was that he wants to get fast food places to stop using seed-based oil. And this restaurant, apparently, when Kennedy came in, switched to frying their food in beef tallow, which is, I think, at least, common understanding is that it's healthier. Tallow and ghee, I think, are considered better things to fry in. Now, we should also say, like, the number, is it number 2 at HHS, is a seed oil executive. So I don't think that they're super worried about this trend amongst the restaurants. But
I'd also say this is probably not where I would start to look for what's going on with the American problems with health, is what exactly type of thing we're frying all of the fast
which
food
French fries are fried properly. I mean, but the amazing thing is, too, is like, I'm old enough to remember when Michael Bloomberg got rid of what was it? The
sodas?
No, before that, the plastics that were in, I can't remember what it's called, but it was part of like fried food, and it was literally a plastic at its most basic structure.
Is that the pink sludge stuff?
No. It is, what is it, Matt?
It's trans fats, right?
Trans fats.
Oh, trans
Yeah,
fats.
trans fats. And he got rid of those in New York City. I think
the Republicans thought that it was trans people. So
it was the people were so outraged. They were so outraged. I mean, people remember when Michelle Obama tried to like get better food in schools, and they were so outraged.
But
leave us alone. They were eating like Cheetos at the RNC.
Oh yeah, in protest, and now we have Maha. But I guess Michelle Obama isn't taking enough human growth hormone for it to look healthy for them.
All right, so here is RFK Jr. with Sean Hannity going out to have a hamburger and bringing a camera crew with them.
By the way, here you go.
Here's just take the red mask and I'll take those braids back for you. Okay?
Oh, okay. Is that?
This is you, Sean.
Oh, this is me. Okay, thank you.
And Secretary, this is for you. All right, gentlemen. Enjoy.
Thank you. You didn't pick up my Coke, did you?
Get your Coke. I got you, buddy.
The small with the little ice. Well, I'm not going to drink it all because he's going to yell at me. I'm only kidding.
And Station Shack just switched out. And people are raving about these French fries. You taste them.
They're amazing.
Pause it for
They
1
really
second.
are.
Now, he's having the Coca-Cola, which I'll tell you is incredibly unhealthy for you. It is just sugar water with chemicals.
Good thing this is beef tallow on my French
good. Yeah, I'm really doing it up with the beef towel.
You know how you can tell someone is just like a crappy person who's old, usually older, or like the male version of a Karen, is when they touch people, like the wait staff, or like touch them without their consent. Did you see how Hannity did that? Did you forget my Coke? Slapping him on the back. Why did you get to touch that guy? It makes whatever.
All right, I stand corrected. Chemical engineer tells me trans fats are not considered plastics, but they're sort of like it. But fair.
All right. Fair enough.
So going back here to RFK is now going to tell a story that everyone can
relate to.
Yeah.
When I was a kid and I travel in Europe, Europe is great. Always had great food. The French fries were always a disappointment because we had the best French fries here. They had pommes frites over there, and they just didn't taste right.
Freedom fries.
Today, the best French fries in the world are in Europe. I order them every time I go to Belgium or France or any place else. And the French fries here just don't taste right. And you taste these, it's a completely different experience, and the customers are raving about it. Other companies, Steak and Shake has been great. We're very grateful for them for RFKing the French fries. They turned me into a verb. But also Popeyes.
By the way, a plastic straw. Thank you. Thank God. I can't stand those paper straws. I hate them.
You hate the sea turtles, right?
Pause it. Incidentally, I mean, what is sort of fascinating about that exchange is I remember one time, people will remember I used to do a radio show with Kennedy years ago. We were friendly, but not best of friends, and we were not in the same location. But I do remember distinctly one time where he was telling me a story of off the coast of Cape Cod. He was helping rescue a sea turtle that was trapped in a fisherman's net. And those straws actually do end up killing
sea turtles.
Many, many, many sea turtles.
That was why we banned them.
That was why they got banned. And to see him have to either not care about that anymore or pretend that he doesn't care and make a joke of it is fascinating.
It's a humiliation ritual. This is the other. He keeps making him eat fast food on camera. Donald Trump does, including the McDonald's thing. And I just wonder, because he likes doing this. RFK is not going to mandate that McDonald's use this oil. They'll do it for whatever this place is. I'm not that familiar. We don't have them in New York City. Steak and Shake or whatever they refer to it as. But Trump's not going to allow it to go for his favorite products in McDonald's. That's not what this is going to be. Anyway,
it's only about a year and a half ago that RFK tweeted out his 10-point plan to fix the plastics crisis, which included things like banning fracking, which provides the feedstock for most of the plastics produced in the U.S. So yeah, it's Tim go oh yeah, you hate the turtles, huh? As one little sop to what he used to believe in is funny.
It's amazing. It really is just showing how much he's willing to sell of himself for this.
But Popeyes, Outback, Sweet Greens, Buffalo Wild Wings. Yeah, they've all made the switch, or they're in the transition of making the switch. We want to do everything that we can to incentivize these companies to be transparent, to switch over from ultra-processed food, and to be part of this movement to make America healthy again.
As Health and Human Services Secretary, and there is great paranoia and fear. You're going to force people. You're going to take things away from people. You're going to force companies to do what, this Steak and Shake is freely decided to do. That's not the case.
No, I mean, I'm a libertarian outlook. People should be able to make their own choices. If you want to eat a donut or seed oils, you should be able to. You should be able to exercise informed choice. You should know what that product is, what's in your food, and what the health impacts are. And that's all we're going to do.
Yeah.
We're going to incentivize.
I mean, how does that help the turtles that he used to care about? Okay, I'll stop using plastic straws. Of course, though, however, there may not be paper straws. Why would there? If it's cheaper to make plastic straws, broadly speaking, I think everybody agrees that plastic straws function a little bit better than paper straws. Where's my choice to get the paper straws? They're not going to be made anymore.
I'll say this. I don't like admitting I eat at McDonald's sometimes, but they figured out the paper straws thing. I don't understand why this is still a talking point.
It's because it's the same thing with the gas stoves, but like
and the light bulbs.
They don't. They
and the grocery bags.
Yes.
I mean,
right.
Like, I remember when the Republicans were so up in arms at the idea that people would be forced to have reusable bags. I remember Tim Carney on Twitter, like, relentlessly talking about how germs stick on these bags. Like, it was fascinating.
Yeah.
Buffalo Wild Wings, help us get Make America Healthy Again.
And he didn't list any of the chains. Like, I mean, Buffalo Wild Wings is one, but like McDonald's or Burger King.
They're starting toward the transition.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Just like they were all going to help us do a clean energy push.
Yeah. Trump's like, if you touch my fries, I am nuking the Kennedy compound in Hyannis.
1996 Sam says RFK is basically promoting DEI for beef tallow.
Also, in the background of all this, Trump is completely going back on his promise to release the files pertaining to the assassination of RFK's uncle and presumably brother, too.
Or his father. Right. But
there could be info on RFK Sr. too.
Sorry. Yeah. No, I mean, well, it's interesting. I mean, I said this on MSNBC on Sunday, but like what RFK Jr. is doing is exploiting an existing anxiety that people have about their health care and the fact that they don't feel empowered over their health care. We have nearly 30 million people in this country who don't have health insurance, that people feel when they think about going to the doctor, this deep sense of dread because it's going to be probably pretty costly. And if you have some sort of severe illness, it could bankrupt you. The leading cause of bankruptcy in this country is medical debt. So what RFK here is here to do is to say, hey, well, when you consume your food, I'll make you feel a little bit better about it. You'll still have that anxiety going to the doctor, but maybe some of that income that would have gone to, your annual checkup with your physician or looking into, a more specialized doctor for your care, maybe that can go towards supplements instead. Stuff that is sold on websites for podcast buddies that I go on, or go to maha.com or whatever and see what's available for purchase there.
Beef tallow, healthcare. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Just buy more stuff. It'll solve it.
I could talk about in France or in Belgium, when you go and to the doctor, it costs you virtually nothing.
Why have health insurance when we have colloidal silver?
Why would I talk about that when I could talk about pommes frites?
When I could sell some
mayonnaise.
brands.
With mayonnaise. That's the way to really eat it.
The RFK, I gotta say,
pommes frites with the mayonnaise.
I don't know if it gets my appetite going to hear somebody say they RFK'd the French fries. I think I'm probably gonna stay away from those.
Is he really defending the thick French fries, the pommes frites? Is that what he's referring to?
Pommes frites.
That is
beef tallow.
That is inaccurate.
Beef tallow.
He's also wrong. The crispier and the thinner the fry, the better the taste. You imbecile.
As long as you don't get health care.
Yeah.
That's the important.
That's the important thing.
I'm always traveling across the world eating French fries.
I mean, they really need to bring back the freedom fries thing. Why hasn't he talked about how we need to rebrand our French fries? It's not French.
We got to RFK them.
The last time I was in Europe, somebody got healthcare from France. I came back with mainly being more impressed by their healthcare situation than their French fries.
But did you try their pommes frites?
I ate fries there too. I ate some crepes as well.
Yeah. I'm gonna get some fries after this.
RFK the crepes.
RFK the crepes. I just imagine them looking like really orange and swollen.
Crepes with liver spots.
Just
crepes wearing jeans.
Inject the crepe. Inject the crepe. It'll be more manly.
Testosterone crepes.
Right. Why is this crepe so bloated and red?
All right, let's read some IMs to get out of here. Edward Gregorian. Maybe we should get rid of the Department of Education. This is just sad. I think he's talking about the debate. Jackie C. Emma on Eamon was terrific. week ago, he announced rumors wrong, offer extended tenure, show expanded, new format, new name, new co-hosts.
Interesting. Wait. Okay. When was that announced?
Like a week ago. He said that the rumors were wrong and like it's moving. I don't know exactly what it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how to
Well,
interpret
he's very, very nice and like really appreciate his advocacy on Gaza, which I did tell him.
Teacher Dan, the Democratic Party establishment doesn't seem to be interested in harnessing the grassroots energy. Bernie Sanders still seems to be capable of rallying. Granted, he might be old for another run, but I think he could wipe the floor with Trump and any other Republican and a good number of weak-ass Democrats. I think the danger is right now is they're trying to stroke up the reputations and the credit of some of those establishment center-right faves. Look for a Mayo Pete run with a Cuomo endorsement. That sounds like the grossest order you could make at a restaurant.
With a side of Cuomo endorsement.
Oh my God. Nuclear power, GDP. Sam, I listened to your Jubilee video, and some of the people made me want to stick a fork in my eye. How do you remain calm around such je ne sais quoi? I got tired a little bit. I got a little bit tired.
Well, they are, as you were saying, they're gish galloping you, and also just the way that they were sprinting to run to like tripping over themselves to sit in that chair.
Well, that's the
and
part of
humiliate themselves. I know that's the format, but like not.
It's a silly format.
But I tried to watch. I watched a lot of it, and they don't know what they're saying once they haven't formulated their thought before they sit down, and then it just gets worse for them.
I think it might have been more productive if it was in a place like, I don't know, Kansas or Iowa or Maine or anywhere. LA is not exactly the place you want to.
Yeah.
Crypto bro, Sam, your Jubilee thing perfectly encapsulates the frustrations with talking to MAGA family members. You can have clear, defensible points that are founded in reality, but it does not matter. They simply just don't listen to you. Yeah, it's true. But understand from my perspective, I'm not going there to change those people's minds. Although that one kid who didn't believe about the 45% poverty rate cut, he came back to the green room. I showed him on the phone. I like that guy, I think like in 5 or 6 years.
Planted the seed.
And I think about that when I argue with my family at like get-togethers, is like I am basically arguing for the younger people that are witnessing it rather than trying to change my people's minds. 100%. And that's why, that's the only reason why I keep harping on that fundamentalist, because I should have had that fundamentalist do exactly what that white nationalist did, which was you just go.
Yeah.
You express your vision of what's going on. You define what's going on here. Because I just don't think that the American public, A, is quite clear on what their positions are, those people's positions are, and B, doesn't realize how closely associated they are with the Republicans. And that's what I want. That's what I'm there for. So I don't, when people are, when that guy's saying that type of gibberish, I'm happy. Detective Dubois, the Long Island Stasi are out in full force. Trump retruthed a Washington Times article that had a pink triangle symbol crossed out. Oh, jeez. That was what the Nazis used. Ben Shabibo, DEI debater. Don't get me started on poutine. You know what that is?
Poutine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a thing they slather fries in like Montreal.
Yeah, it's the Canadian food that I'm sorry I've never tried, but looks very gross to me.
Yeah.
Kowalski from Nebraska. After harvest, we expect commodity prices for agricultural goods to slowly increase over time as supply gets used. In mid-December, there was a massive jump at the USDA published that they had miscalculated our harvest and it was much smaller than initially believed. So farmers ended up selling grain at a deflated price for a month and a half. We are about 20% down from 2025 highs around a month ago. Not only is this not the right time of year for drop prices to be dropping, we haven't even felt the impact of the South Hemispheric harvest yet, but it's making planning for the upcoming season incredibly challenging because we have a month to decide what we're going to grow. I'm mad.
I'm sorry.
Organize your farmers into a revolt, Kowalski.
Oh, man, he's already on that. He's been doing that for a long time.
Lincoln.
We need DETM, deport Elon to Mars. All right, 5 more. Woodworker. Emma's NBC.
MSNBC.
MSNBC. Oh, that's pretty good. Sam does technology live. This is going to be fun. The fear of Majority Report calling Congress people would be wonderful. Calling on air in front of so many people and giving out the number is great.
We should clip that too. And
Definitely.
They already posted. I mean,
Scary Mountain
job,
Wizard.
team.
This clown is throwing out so many BS talking points. 2 more. Sacha. Zateo Town Hall with Professor Catherine Frank of Columbia University in Prem Thakur. I watched it live and continued. It was great. She would be a great guest. Catherine Frankie, will you... Okay. And 2 more. DNC Google Pundit. Try hitting 5 next time to add to the message. Hitting 5 next time to add to them. Oh, okay. And the final IM of the day. Dave from Jamaica. Traveling the world to eat American food. LOL. Do you guys think Gen Z is more right-wing? It appears they might be.
On certain issues.
honestly though, is there nothing more American than traveling the world and eating the food that you're comfortable with from here?
To be honest, I love going to fast food places when I'm traveling because it feels like home.
Well, that's because you're a red-blooded American, sir.
When I was in London, me and my friends called McDonald's the embassy because we'd always meet up there.
My God. Bradley in absentia, Matt, Emma, great job today, folks. See you tomorrow.
It might take all the strength I got to get to where I want, but I know somehow I'm gonna get there. I wasn't looking when I just got caught between the truth and the light bulb, but finding out won't make me feel any better. Yeah, I know the clock is ticking, but the meds are gonna kick in, and my pilot light shining bright. I get somewhere the choice is made, for the option where you don't get paid, for the road that bends before it finally breaks you. I guess somehow I lost my drive between the 101 and the 5. Do you know how far the detour takes you? Yeah, I know the clock is ticking, but the meds